is a complete fraud, a complete imposter. He tried to pull the wool over all of our eyes by
being the nice guy.
By pretending that the game was played on a different plane that we could possibly understand. He was he was like suggesting that if you didn't understand his ridiculous tactics, it was because you didn't understand football in the perfect way that he did. Amad Diallo was one of Manchester United's best players the previous season. He stuck him at fullback. Bruno Fernandes.
Martin Keown is looking at the positives for Arsenal despite Man City clawing back some momentum in the title race.
Man City may look at this and say, well, do you know what, that was a definitive moment for us where we turn things around. It keeps the Premier League alive for the neutral, but it was always alive, Jim. And actually, I think 6 points instead of 9 is healthier.
Well, the Gunners' Invincible says being 6 ahead means people will stop saying the title is Arsenal's to lose. Meanwhile, the PGMOL and former refs are all backing the decision to chalk off City's third goal at Anfield. But shock, Neil Warnock disagrees.
I remember Bill Shankly saying, they know the laws, but they don't know the game. Yeah. And nothing has changed in all them years. They know the rules, they know it inside out, they know what should be happening, they know this, but they haven't got any idea about common sense.
Now, with doubts over Christian Romero's captaincy credentials, Simon Jordan says his red card over the weekend makes the Spurs manager look weak.
If Thomas Frank were working for me, I would be asking him why he doesn't have control over his player. Why his player seems to believe on 2 or 3 occasions now he's able to say what he wants about what he wants when he wants.
Well, Frank admits his skipper needs to learn from his mistakes. Spurs host Newcastle live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow night. And Eddie Howe says he'd resign if he didn't feel he was the right man to turn around the Magpies' poor form in recent weeks. Howe's also told us his harshest critic is himself.
The pressure that individuals or other people can put on you, it's irrelevant, really. I have to live with my own thoughts of myself and what I'm delivering, and that's very honest to say that after the game that I need to do better, and I will do better. It's part of the evolution, it's part of growing.
Brendan McCullum's job will be safe if England make the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. That's according to former England coach David Lloyd. But they'll have to make some serious improvements to make the latter stages. And freestyle skier Kirsty Muir narrowly missed out on Team GB's first medal of the Winter Olympics, finishing 4th in the women's slopestyle. She scored 76.05 points with a brilliant third run, only 0.41 points off bronze.
Well, we've had a brilliant weekend of VAR, causing the kind of controversy it was introduced to clear up. We've had fans booing at Burnley and Brighton, United being brilliant again, Romero being a liability again, Eddie Howe attracting the kind of scrutiny he deserves, and loads more. Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis and me, Adrian Durham, are with you till 10. We'll have our magic moments from the weekend in around 45 minutes. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Danny Murphy, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah.
And Darren Lewis, looking good.
Thank you very much. Good to have you back. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The King is back.
Who's that then? King of what?
Yes,
I could hear Arsenal fans answering that left, right and centre. You know, the funny thing was I was at Arsenal-Chelsea last week, the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg. And at the end of the game, and the talkSPORT position, you'll know this, Danny, the talkSPORT position is right by the fans, lower tier, along the side, behind the dugouts, right? And these Arsenal fans piled past. They're all deliriously happy. They're going to, they've won the game as well. They're going to Wembley. And one of them shouted out, there was an expletive in there, so I won't repeat the expletive, obviously, but he shouted out to me, Peterborough never get to Wembley, you blah, blah, blah. And we've been to Wembley twice in the last 2 seasons and won at Wembley twice in the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, the knowledge of, if they listen to talkSPORT more, they will have better knowledge of what goes on in football. Listen, you're both Liverpool, so let's kick off with the game yesterday that Liverpool lost 3-1. Or was it 2-1?
2-1.
2-1. It should have been 3-1. We'll get to that very shortly. But how much has that saved the title race, Danny Murphy?
Definitely.
Yeah, I felt if Liverpool beat City yesterday, the title was done. 9 points is a big gap. I mean, 6 is big enough when you've got the consistency and squad of Arsenal, but they've got to play them as well at City. So it was a massive result for City. I was actually disappointed first half with Liverpool. Thought City looked reasonably comfortable without being great. And I was like, come on, like chasing Man U, chasing Chelsea. Where's the energy? Where's the urgency? I was looking at it from a tactical, he played the 4 forwards, which he hasn't always done recently, similar to the Newcastle game, so probably just thought go again, versus a 10, the 2 wide boys. And it gave City control, and I thought he had to do something. And it felt like the second half performance was a reaction to whatever he said to them at half-time, rather than a tactical tweak. It was just better urgency, move the ball quicker, press better, won more duels, looked really confident side, and then had chances. I mean, the Ekatike header. Verts hitting the defender in front when he could have gone either side. Ekatike's shot just past the post. There was chance after chance. They were dominating. It was like an old Liverpool performance. You got the feeling it was only them going to win it.
Yeah, it's a matter of time, wasn't it?
And then the 1-1, which came a bit out of nowhere.
Yep.
Szoboszlai just switched off, didn't he? Didn't get up with the other defenders, played him on. And then at 1-1, you knew what was going to happen. Because Liverpool was still trying to win it.
I'm sorry, you can't tell me at 1-1 you knew everything that was going to happen.
No,
all that drama.
It felt to me, watching it, they're going to get one.
Yeah, and they did. And actually, on the Liverpool performance, Darren, I think it's a great point that the first half was very passive. The second half, to me, I agree with you, Danny. I think it showed that Arne Slot delivered some kind of brilliant team talk at half-time. But that second half performance, I was thinking to myself, how come Liverpool don't do this every week? Yeah, the players. It's Man City, so they're trying to show up. They know the world's eyes are on them. And I was just thinking to myself, come on now. Where's this been? When you've been drawing at home to teams that you should be putting away with the players you've got, where has this been all season?
Listen, we work in the entertainment industry, and when we build these games, showdown games, glamour teams, we expect it to be fireworks from the start. That's why there was so much debate around the anticlimactic second leg between Arsenal and Chelsea you mentioned before, because we want it to be fireworks from the start. But when you're playing in a match like that, and the big man here knows, you have to play with your heads. And when there are matches between 2 top teams, it's always a bit of a chess match as they feel themselves out. Then the game starts to open out in the second half when teams realise they've got to go for it, they've got to push for it. And that's where that second half performance came from. I don't think it was a case of the Liverpool players not turning up and only deciding to do so in the second half. I do think it might well have been the case. And, I've read so many players and spoken to so many ex-players who talk about the fact that where we think managers are going berserk in dressing rooms, managers are basically saying, do this, do that. This is what we're going to do. This is our game plan. Let's go and execute it. So we are kind of tainted, if you like. Tainted is the wrong word. Our judgment is kind of skewed because I work in media. You guys work in media. We want to build games. We want people to come and watch these big matches, listen to big matches. So we build them as mouth-watering, must-watch showdowns. And when they don't deliver, we blame it on the players. But we've seen time and again, players at that level have so much respect for each other that it's never, ever going to be the blockbuster we think it is.
No, but I think the other thing is with Liverpool, if you look at their really good results and performances, especially at Anfield, Arsenal, when they beat Arsenal, they beat Real Madrid, Champions League games, generally apart from that one where they lost when they were out in a really horrible spell. But against good teams, Liverpool find it a bit easier because City didn't sit in, did they? They wanted to win the game second half as well, and it opened up a bit, which suits Liverpool. That's why they could dominate Madrid. That's why they can go to Arsenal and play. And
that's why Slot's been going on about the low block.
Correct. Not that that's an excuse for where they're at. You can't blame that. It's just football. It would be relevant of whether tactics have changed from other teams, or why shouldn't it if it's getting you results against Liverpool? But it's no coincidence that generally Liverpool looking good and dominant and making lots of chances against teams that have a go, that play out.
Just on the wider point as well, just before you move on.
Yep.
I think I've never been of the belief that the title race is over. I'll be really frank, and I'll go on record as saying it now. I think we watch so much football. We've seen so many leads wiped out that have supposedly been decisive in January and February. Arsenal themselves, they came back from 12 points behind, was it in 98? and went on to win it. There have been so many examples in Premier League history of leads in December, January, February. Okay, 8 points was the last big gap they had, and that was wiped out, and they went on to lose it. And I just think there is so much football to be played, so many key players they could lose.
9 points would have been big, though.
9 points would have been big, no doubt about that.
I think 9 would have been.
Sorry, have either of you two watched Man City this season?
No, but that's not the
vulnerable.
point.
Dreadful.
That's not the point.
By their standards, they're dreadful. And even yesterday, Noel Gallagher just said it. We heard it in the bulletin. Said it on talkSPORT earlier that first half showed why Arsenal are going to win the league. And the second half, even when they've gone, I think, was it 1-1, the McAllister, the save from Donnarumma?
Yeah, good shot.
So it could have gone either way, that game.
Absolutely.
They're not playing great.
No, so I don't see any evidence to suggest that Manchester City will put a run together.
No,
and similarly, I don't see any evidence that Arsenal are going to drop enough points for anything other than an Arsenal title.
Here's my point back to that.
Here's
my point back to that, right? Arsenal have form for having a supposedly decisive lead and blowing it. City have form for not impressing in the first half of the season, first 2/3 of the season, and then putting that run together to win it. So, yes, you wouldn't give them extra marks for artistic impression, but they've got an elite goal scorer who, when he starts, he started yesterday, yeah. If he were to go on a run, the games where they've struggled in, he will blast them to victory, right? They've got good players all over the pitch. They've got a world-class goalkeeper who's keeping them in the title race. City have won it by a point before, when we all thought Liverpool had the chance, for example, to do it. I don't like to sit here and say in January or February it's done. It's crazy. There is way too much football to be played, and all of us have seen way too much football to be
You're right. Mathematically, it isn't done. You're 100% correct. I agree with that. And anything can happen. We know this. However, I look at Saturday's Arsenal performance and I see Gyökeres dropped or rotated to the bench. Jesus comes in. Jesus plays well. Gyökeres comes on and scores 2 goals. Odegaard's out injured. He doesn't bring in Eze as the number 10. He has Havertz as the number 10. This is a squad that is incapable of going on that kind of run that City need them to go on. And I'm one of these that's not particularly enamoured with how Arsenal play, but that's irrelevant, really. I don't think they're in it for entertainment purposes. They're in it to win the title.
I don't think they need. I agree with you. I don't think Arsenal will have a bad run. It's whether, because if City beat them at home, it's 3 points, one game. It's only one bad game where you get sending off or whatever. But are City capable of going from now to the end of the season winning every game? And if you watch the last 6 games, hell no.
No.
Well, hang on a minute. If City beat Fulham on Wednesday night, I think it is.
Yep.
They're 3 points behind Arsenal. If Arsenal go to Brentford Thursday and don't win, let's say they draw, right? Let's say they draw, because, again, when we say it's done, we are disrespecting all those teams that will suddenly say, no disrespect to, but that's what we're doing. We're disrespecting Brentford and Brighton and
I'll tell you what,
all the other teams that they're going to play.
Right? I'll tell you why I'm disrespecting them, because they went to the Emirates earlier this season. They left out Igor Thiago, who was in fantastic form for them.
Yeah, made a load of changes.
Made a load of changes. Henderson was left on the bench. They left their best players out, and Arsenal didn't play that great and won 2-0. So Brentford over-respected Arsenal that day. Now, I don't see. I think it's a shameful team selection that day. Maybe Keith Andrews might want to put that right on Thursday, but the way they treated Arsenal was like they were champions already and like they were unbeatable. So that's the mentality Brentford players were given by their manager.
Do you not think that they would have learned from that and thought and because obviously now they're playing with far more belief, right? Only 2 teams, if I'm not mistaken, have won at the G-Tech. That is City and Forest. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this whole idea that Arsenal are going to go there and walk away easily with 3 points, when Thiago's scoring like a man possessed, you've got the leadership of Jordan Henderson in midfield, you've got defenders suddenly now playing with that belief and believing that they can take big scalps because they've done that already. It's a leap. It's a leap to say that Arsenal are going to go there and roll out with the 3 points. And yeah, it's the reason why I just think with that lead being just 3 points, for us to sit here and say it's done.
I'm sitting here and saying it's done. It's done, mate. You come back to me in May.
But you've got form for being contrary.
This is the great thing we're allowed.
And you can pair up if you like, and you can bring your dinner.
This is the great thing about what we do, is that you're allowed to make wild assumptions or give opinions that other people don't agree with. What I've seen, I can't see Arsenal blowing it.
No.
I take your point, Brentford are a good side and could give them a good game, but the reality is City will have tough games between now and the end of the season.
Brentford are doing great, by the way, but they have a manager who's told the players you're not good enough to compete with Arsenal.
But you've got to put that into context, because they did have they had 3 games that week, didn't they?
Yeah, he rested them for Spurs, and they went and lost.
I know. But he was managing. He was thinking, I've got more chance of beating Spurs, which was a fair thing to think.
Yeah,
to be honest.
If they're in form, Keith, just keep them in the team. That's my advice. But I've never played the game. It's kick-off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Legendary retired referee Dermot Gallagher joins us here on the show. How are we, Dermot?
Hi, Majestic. Hi, Al.
Hi, Dermot.
Listen, let's just get your thoughts off that straight off the bat. We don't want to ask you no questions. You're the ref. Tell us what you saw.
I have to say, I get what Alan says, and I think lots and lots of people will say, give the goal. It keeps 11 against 11. It keeps everybody happy. But when you look at it, there's no doubt whatsoever Szoboszlai is fouled, and by Haaland fouling him, he will argue that stopped him clearing the ball off the line. But you go back, the only reason Szoboszlai gets that far back is because he actually hauls Haaland back. That's the first foul. So I don't think I think Craig has tried to play advantage because he thinks it'll be a goal.
Definitely, Dermot. He's played advantage, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played advantage, and bear in mind, Al, that he can always bring that back if it goes wrong. So
but if you go to the second part, right, where Haaland fouls him, right, but the ball's gone in the net. So why didn't he play advantage?
It's kick-off on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian, Durham, Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis are with me. We'll tell you who... we just asked Danny Murphy who should play him in a film. We'll tell you who he said in just a moment. You might be able to guess it, actually, if you want to tweet us or X us, whatever it is. Then feel free. Take a look at him, yeah. You might be able to get it if you're watching on the old YouTube. Time now to get an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
And Chris Wood from Ladbrokes is with us. Chris, let's talk about the game on talkSPORT 2 tonight. Middlesbrough could go top of the table. They're away to Sheffield United.
Yeah, hi guys, how you doing? Big game tonight. Sheffield, both teams in great form in the Championship. Sheffield United currently 13-10. Middlesbrough are 12-5 in the draws, 5-2. Obviously, Borough have been in a great run of form, but Sheffield United have been playing well as well. It'll be interesting to see with Bamford back in the side how he goes. He's 11-2 to score the first goal, 9-5 to score any time. He's got 6 and 8 starts since he joined. Ex-Plymouth Argyle star Morgan Whittaker's in great form as well. He's 7-1 to score the first goal, 12-5 to score any time against his old teammate, of course, in goal for Sheffield United, Michael Cooper. And Hayden Hackney, he's 14-1 to score the first goal. I thought he'd get a move, or at least have a bit of interest from the Premier League. I think he's been superb in the Championship this year. He's 14-1 to score any time, 11-2 to have an assist, and 5-1 to score any time.
What about Premier League outright, some relegations as well? In terms of the title with the Premier League, at 1-0 down, Man City, Arsenal virtually unbackable, I would think, and then 2-1 full time, it all changes again.
Yeah, absolutely. I somebody asked me that earlier. I think Arsenal would have been around the 1 to 10, 1 to 12 mark had City not won. Obviously, that makes a huge difference. Arsenal currently 2 to 9, still, obviously massive favourites to win it. But City are in at 4 to 1. Man United are now the third favourites at 50 to 1, and it's 100 to 1. Bar all of those, I mean, it is really a 2-horse race now. Top 4 betting: Villa are 8 to 11, same price as Manchester United. Chelsea are 11 to 10. Liverpool now out to 5 to 4, and Brentford, like the dark horses this season, they're 20 to 1 to get into the top 4. They're also 100 to 30 to get in the top 6. Newcastle out to 8 to 1 to get in the top 6, and Everton sneaking into the reckoning now at 12 to 1. The odds at the other end of the table are probably a little bit more interesting now. 2 of the places look like they've gone already: Burnley and Wolves. But West Ham are 4 to 6 to go down. Forest are 7 to 2. Leeds are 13 to 2. Palace out to 16 to 1 after that great win against Brighton, and Brighton themselves are into 16 to 1 with their Spurs. It's not looking great for them either. They're 8 to 1 to be relegated.
Spurs in a relegation scrap. More on that later. Also coming up later, Chris, on kickoff, we'll be picking our Ladisfaction magic moment of the weekend. What's yours from the weekend, please?
Has to be Palace finally ending their winless run, nine games winless, and then finally doing it against their rivals, away to their rivals, Brighton. And not only that, managing to smash one in off the opposition keeper's face must have added a real little frisson to things. So yeah, it has to be Palace to, after they ended their winless run.
Yeah, clean sheet, incredible, hard to believe. Chris, thanks very much. That's Ladisfaction. We'll be picking our very own Ladisfaction magic moments of the weekend very shortly. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18+ gambleaware.org.
We'll keep you updated with the Sheffield United Middlesbrough game. It is live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. So Manchester City have saved the title race. I think at 9 points it would have been very tricky for them. Are they good enough to do it? And if not, why not? Why aren't they putting these results together? Is it a work in progress, Danny? Is that what it is? Are we still in transition with Manchester City, or are they just underperforming and underachieving?
Yeah, they've had a lot of new players over a period of time, haven't they? I mean, they've got 2 new ones coming in, even in this window. So
and first teamers as well, not just squad players.
Yeah, and that takes you building relationships, but they've underperformed with the quality they've got. I know they've had some problems at the back, and they went on a bad run not long after those 2 got injured, Gvardiol and Diaz. But they've underperformed with the quality they've got in the squad, the firepower. Haaland's had, for the first, up until a month ago, 6 weeks ago, he was incredible. He looked physically perfect. He was scoring all the time. And then whether it's tiredness, lack of service, whatever, he's fallen off a little bit, and that's hampered them. I think Marmoush coming back from AFCON's a timely boost.
Not been prolific though, is he?
No, but he's a threat. And I like him. And Cherky's obviously a talent. So underperformed, I'd say. I wouldn't blame the quality of squad.
The Haaland drop off. He's still 5 clear in the golden boot. You're right with what you say, but that just shows how good he was.
What's interesting about that is that if you look at Arsenal, there isn't a player who scored more than 6 goals. Now, and some of the key players haven't scored for quite some time.
No one's ever won the league with a player. The least amount, I think it's either 12 or 13.
There you go.
Was Leicester and Man City, I think, or Man City and Chelsea. Gundogan was one of them. I think it was 13 goals.
And this is part of my thinking about the title race and why it's almost reached a critical mass, because I've just been hearing so many people just blithely saying, right, that's it, it's done. When, as we've been saying, there are so many players in the Arsenal team, fantastic players, but none of them are into double figures. Haaland is going for a run that when he ends it, he will still have scored 3 or 4 times more than the best scoring player in the Arsenal team.
Although Gyökeres is top scorer since turn of the year.
Yes.
So he is improving.
But even Arsenal fans don't see him as the answer. So when there has been that speculation, speculation is quite well sourced from the guys in terms of the interest in Julian Alvarez, that causes excitement. Why? Because they see him as not only a guy who can score goals and fit into the kind of system, be that kind of striker who plays with a knife between his teeth for Arsenal, but also because he knows how to win. in the big league. He knows how to dig it out. I'm not saying any of this to deride Arsenal at all. They're a fantastic team, machine, defensively brilliant.
No, you think they're going to bottle it? Say it.
No, I don't think they're going to bottle it. I don't think they're going to bottle it. I don't think.
All right, Jason Statham.
Say it with chest. Say it with chest.
Where'd you learn that phrase?
I heard it on Love Island the other day.
Exactly. Next, you're going to be telling me to stand on business.
Yeah. Unbelievable. You've got to get down with the kids, don't you?
Actually, on the defensive issues that City have had, I think this is a lack of foresight, and maybe Pep's something to do with that as well, because John Stones has not been available, and we should all be concerned from an England point of view with that.
Yep.
Akanji, he just let go to Inter Milan.
Strange one, yeah.
Like there was no conversation. I mean, it was a bit of a shock to me, but it left them very short at centre-back.
And he was playing the young lad ahead of Ake. And the young lad struggled a little bit.
Max Allane, yeah.
He had a couple of good games.
Yeah, but he played him centre-back and Ake at full-back, didn't he?
I mean, I'll hand over to Dan for this, but I just think that as far as the big picture is concerned, all of us believe that Pep won't be here after this season. And so I think he's blooding young players and he's giving young players... He's built a team for the future. He's dismantled the old team. He's pensioned off a lot of the other players. And he's brought in new players, not all of whom... most of whom know that there will come a point when Pep isn't there anymore. But even that said, I mean, I saw, for example, they had the issue with Kusanov yesterday. And who did he bring on? Ruben Diaz. You know, people go on about the quality of Arsenal's squad and their defensive options.
He's only just come back, though, Diaz.
Well, absolutely. But that's the point. That's why you cannot sit here and say, with chest, that Arsenal are going to hose up, because he has world-class players coming back into that squad. And it's going to be massively remiss. Win on Wednesday, 3-point gap. You're still going to sit here and say, but yeah, that's it. It's all done and dusted. That would be crazy.
All right, call me crazy. Call me crazy with chest, if you like. VAR shocker yesterday, I think, at Anfield. We'll have our own different takes on it, but we'll talk about that next on the show. If you want to get in touch, feel free. You can tweet us at talkSPORT or tweet me at the Adrian Durham.
On BBC, you've got, I think it was Ellen White, Steph Horton, Nedum Noura. No offence to Nedum Noura, nothing against him. I don't know whether he played for England or not. But you're on the main panel for the final for England women. Let's go over to ITV. I'm in the stands with 105 caps. So you've got two women. Between us, we've got 290 caps, something ridiculous, right? You turn over to ITV, and it's Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and Kaz Carney. So out of 6 spots on 2 of the main... you can't watch the game anywhere else. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men, yeah? You've got... Meanwhile, you've got 290... whatever it is.
Former Premier League ref Chris Foy has told talkSPORT VAR just did its job in disallowing Cherki's goal during City's win at Anfield.
It sounds boring, it sounds tedious, but they have a job to do.
Well, the review means Szoboszlai misses Liverpool's game at Sunderland live on talkSPORT on Wednesday night, and City's comeback has cut Arsenal's lead from 9 to 6 points. But Martin Keown reckons that's actually better for the Gunners, who keep getting accused of mental weakness.
If they go 9 points clear, then it's theirs to lose again. And we get all of that propaganda that is worked to try and keep this story alive.
Propaganda from who?
Well, that's what I would see it as if I was on the inside. I'm listening. I'm shutting out all the noise.
Elsewhere, we're hearing Sandro Tonali would be up for heading home to Italy. Juventus are keen, along with several Premier League clubs. Meanwhile, Eddie Howe has again insisted he's the right man to take Newcastle forward.
There's no doubt in my mind, and that's why I'm sat here, because, as I said, the club's the most important thing. So I'd never put myself before the club if I didn't think I was the correct man to take the team forward.
And Brendan McCullum's job will be safe if England make the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. That's according to former England coach David Lloyd. But they'll have to make some serious improvements to make the latter stages. McCullum's boys only scraped past Nepal by 4 runs yesterday.
It's kick-off on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian. Durham. With me are the former England midfielder Danny Murphy and the very well-dressed, excellent writer, not just football writer. This is a man who writes well about a lot of subjects. Darren Lewis is here. Do people know what happened the other week when there was a live game on a Monday night?
Yes, they know.
Okay.
You give with one.
You know,
hand,
when you're
take
if
away
you're a
with the
good
other.
writer, which obviously you are, are you a traditionalist? Do you send like your wife like nice letters? Or your mum, or do you write letters?
Oh, they're lovely.
And do you know what's interesting? My kids always do nice messages in when we do sort of birthday cards or whatever. I mean, Father's Day, I'm a mess. You know,
My mum loves cards, like handwritten. You know,
Well, they get posted as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Opening letters, old
love
school.
that, yeah.
Because I don't think kids write letters generally, do they anymore?
No.
Well, they send texts and it's all abbreviations and stuff.
Snap and
Once, right? My youngest son, who is 17, he won't mind me saying
He
this.
might. He might. Have a think.
I suspect he will.
Yeah, maybe not.
You can't leave us hanging.
No. One year, he's always used to writing it. I like them as well when they do that. But one year he decided to do it all in Spanish because he was studying Spanish at the time. And it took me about 5 hours to decipher it all.
That's really cool. I really like that.
Cool,
By the way, those who don't know, it was a live game on a Monday night. Darren Lewis turned up for this kind of show. Well done, Darren.
Do you know why, though? Part of why I
It's
turned
so
up.
professional.
I know it's
A, that was professional. But B, because I had a young guy who was doing work experience, a very talented young man called Freddie Haynes.
You were showing him how not to do it?
What kind of... Yeah.
Great example.
No, I promised him that I was going to bring him into the talkSPORT studio. And so even though there wasn't a game, I still brought him in.
Nah, fair play. Let's talk about VAR then. It disallowed City's third goal. And then sent Dominic Szoboszlai off.
Can I ask you, Age? I heard Gary Neville, talking about what he thought about it as a co-commentator. As a co-commentator, and he was saying it was just such a killjoy goal. I have to say, I fully agreed and empathised with what he was saying at that point. As a commentator, I mean, you've obviously been alongside Alex Crook when you've been at games. I've heard you so many times. And you're very good at summarising the mood, of fans. And how did you feel watching it?
When I was watching it in real time, when the ball hit the back of the net, I was thoroughly entertained because I wasn't watching the ball. I hadn't realised it had gone in.
Yeah.
I was thinking, wow, that's a foul by Szoboszlai, he's going to be sent off. And then I thought, oh, Haaland's fouled him, that cancels that out. And then I realised the ball had hit the back of the net. And I was thoroughly entertained and then thoroughly disappointed and deflated by the decision. I mean, in fact, I'm going to say this about the decision. I think it's the most blatant misuse of VAR we've had yet. Yeah. There's been some mistakes by VAR, but I think this is a misuse of VAR. I'll even accept mistakes from referees. Mistakes do happen, but this is the worst kind of re-refereeing we've had. And Howard Webb promised this wasn't going to happen, and it's just happened yesterday. So the ref on field, we should praise, I think, Craig Pawson initially. He's played the advantage for the first foul, which I think is absolutely fine. He's then used common sense for the second foul. I can't see a problem in awarding the goal. VAR is there to eliminate the howlers. Okay, there was no howler. VAR's not there to enforce the letter of the law. All those going on about the rules. That's not what VAR's for. It's not there to, intricately, enforce the letter of the law. That's not the reason it's there. There are elements of the on-field decisions that were made yesterday by Craig Pawson that you could disagree with. No problem with that at all. That's fine. But there's no howler. So for everyone saying the suspension from the red has an impact, so does the goal difference. So, there's arguments either way. This was a VAR official being busy, very busy, and this is a serious problem that Webb needs to get a grip of, and he hasn't yet.
Yeah, the thing is with that, the letter of the law is what that's what they go by. They're not allowed to use common sense. It's gone. I've had this debate for years.
No, but I'm talking about intervention. We're talking about VAR
because they've seen something and educated the referee on field and said to him, "Look, you've got this wrong."
But there's no howler.
It's not about howler. It's about he's not.
No. VAR can only intervene or should only intervene if there's a howler, and there's no howler. VAR should just sit.
The howler is the ref made the wrong decision because he didn't interpret the law. So
the ref did not make the wrong decision.
Well, he did.
You can't possibly think that.
No. Come
on.
By the law, the referee's law, the rule book, he made the wrong decision. They have to make him aware of that. They can't.
So he should go to the screen and stick to his decision.
Well, he can't, because then he's actually been put in the right by the law. Forget your opinion on it. He then has to do what he did. Because the problem if he doesn't, is that then you've got an argument, which is why you can't have common sense or subjectivity in an issue like that. If, for example, City won the league by a goal difference, won, and it was that goal, it's actually wrong. It
isn't.
It is wrong by law.
No, it isn't. It's not wrong because playing the advantage is not incorrect. You're playing the advantage, then you're using common sense. Now, I know what you're saying about common sense, but if John Brooks just stays quiet and does nothing, nobody has a problem.
I agree with
VAR
that.
should just shut up. It's getting way too busy.
Interesting thing about the goal and about the sequence of events is that everyone's lost. City get a goal chalked off.
Yeah.
Liverpool lose a player. And for what? And at the start of the season, we were all told about referee's call. There was big play made of referee's call.
Yeah.
And the referees made a call in this situation. It is being pulled back. And we have to caveat all of this because I don't want people to go on either social or whatever and say we don't know the laws. Law 12 allows for what that happened yesterday. Yeah. They followed the rules. That is fact. And you can't deny that whatsoever. What we're all saying is...
If they hadn't, nobody would say anything. But
if they hadn't, nobody would have had a problem.
They would.
Somebody probably would.
They would.
Yeah.
The problem is, sometimes things happen, and I can't... Someone will tell me a similar thing that's happened. I don't remember seeing anything quite like that before. That scenario.
No.
So sometimes in football, things come along that we haven't really seen before to be able to compare it. We feel like they got it wrong. It's not good for football. I agree with that. So actually now, surely then that triggers a conversation around that rule. Referees should be, on certain occasions, especially if it ends in a goal, and they've played an advantage, irrelevant of what's happened between A and the goal, then if they tweak the law, change the wording, whatever they need to do, to allow them to let that be, I think that would be a sensible outcome.
I think about that.
To not address it at all would be ludicrous, because that for the goal not to be given from a footballing perspective and a fan perspective, or even we're fans, but it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Totally, the thing is,
but they've got nowhere to go.
Whatever happens between the two players, the goal is Cherky's goal. The goal is Cherky, and I mean, too few of us are talking about the incredible turn of foot shown by Haaland to outpace Szoboszlai. Anyway,
it was amazing, yeah.
It was absolutely amazing. But the fact is that neither player touched the ball. So you can, Craig Pawson, as I understand it, if he had made an indication to say, I'm playing advantage, let the goal be scored, he can go back and give Szoboszlai a yellow card, possibly even red, whatever. But lots of people are asking the same question. How can you send off a player for the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity when the goal is scored. And I understand that frustration.
Yeah, because you've not denied it,
You've not denied it.
Dog show.
And so, again, we have to all observe and say, just in case someone picks this up late, we understand Law 12 allows for the officials to do what they did. But common sense, and we're often talking about common sense, in this occasion it didn't seem to be very common.
Yeah, I think from the off, I've said I've not been a fan of VAR. Everybody knows this, and I wasn't a fan of goal line technology, but I am now. I was wrong about that, but with VAR, I still stick to it. I feel like I'm totally right about it. And there's been nothing in, how long is it? 6.5 years, 5.5 years, whatever it is. It's been going. And here we are yet again. So, well, they're going to have to tweak the law. Well, come on. I mean, I think that is just ridiculous. I do think genuinely, and this is from conversations that have been had, I think that Howard Webb wants some common sense. You know, like the Haaland goal, not the Haaland goal, the Man City goal at Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, first leg, semi-final, the one that took 5 minutes or so.
Yep.
I think everybody at PGMO was thinking, but just give the goal. Everybody, regardless of the technical detail of whether it should or shouldn't be allowed. And this is one of those where I think we really need to strip it back. Forget about your law book and stick into the detailed descriptions.
I agree.
If there's no howler, why are you getting involved? And I don't think that was a howler there.
Well, it's not even if it's forget the word howler. It's good of the game. I always say
it's a good way of describing
the good of the game.
But Dan, the only thing is what Adrian's saying in terms of howler is the whole premise of
VAR is
clear and obvious error. So that's.
But to them, it is clear and obvious because it's written. Yes. He's got it wrong.
Yeah,
but I think that's to do with their outlook, that the way they
interpretation,
the way they
just their
approach the job.
Yeah.
And I think it's well-meaning. They want to impose the laws of the game. They want to stick to the laws of the game. I get that, but I mean, Howard Webb has got to turn around a complete mentality problem there. The mentality is, that law of the game isn't quite right. We need to tell the referee this. No, you don't. Just let him do what he's just done. Give the goal.
I think what it does bring up, right, and I've said this many times, I feel quite strongly about it, the perception that the game is being re-refereed. And they stress that the game should not be re-refereed.
They've made that very clear. They don't want it re-refereed. This was re-refereeing.
If you listen to any audio, you will find it's a VAR basically saying to a referee, I think delay. This has happened. I think I'm recommending this.
I think you've missed one there. Go and have a look. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it should be.
That's all it should be.
No pressure.
Yeah. It should not be, I'm recommending this, and this. Because then you're taking subjective decision on the pitch, which is incorrect, and moving it to a VAR booth.
But then we've got this issue as well. I mean, the problem is they're never going to be able to cover all these bases. Like the handball Murphy at Newcastle, the Chelsea one they got wrong the other week against Palace. Canvo, was it? And they gave it, and he couldn't have been in a more natural position. Murphy's gone from an unnatural one to a natural.
Yeah, you pointed this out.
But I was saying, to be honest, you could argue he's put it more to get the ball because he could have moved out of the way.
It's complicated even further. Stuart Pearce said to me a while ago that as a defender, he would sometimes make it look like he was deliberately handball it, and then make it look like he was putting his arm out the way.
Right.
To try and deceive the officials.
Exactly that.
I was in a bit of shock.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah, and that's another one where it can be interpreted in different ways, as we've seen in the last few weeks. One's given, one isn't.
Another one this has been such a big issue that a lot of VAR incidents at the weekend have passed people by. But I was particularly upset by the Gabriel Jesus offside against Sunderland. Where his feet are in his own half.
It kills me.
But
again, that's not the official's fault.
Well, it isn't.
It's not because the law, Gade.
Well,
hang on a minute. It's not the feet anymore.
But there's no concept of level anymore, is there? You can't be level.
No.
It's got to be like a fraction of a.
It's this business, isn't it? Armpits and sleeve and all that business.
His feet are in his own half. How could he be offside?
That's what you get taught growing up.
Surely that
we got taught growing up. I don't know when you got coached. It was always keep your feet behind the striker, defender.
And then go
in, Lineker-esque, like that little. I for the love of God, change that rule. Just make it feet. And I tell you what, the officials would go, thank God.
But also, all right, okay, I understand what you're saying, and they have these laws to abide by. But if you're a VAR in that box and you're looking at that, surely you're saying to yourself, well, his feet are in his own half. I can't give that offside.
Well, no, the problem is he's thinking every offside we do, his line of, it's just so robotic, he can't risk giving it.
I'd give up. If I was ruining the game that much, I would not want to be a VAR. Honestly. They've got a simple job. Oh, do you know what? If the VAR did nothing for 90, 95 minutes, that would be a good day.
Yeah.
Great day.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're there for.
And not only that, but I think that's why the reason why in the EFL it's such an enjoyable afternoon of football, or even in the FA Cup, because there's no VAR. And lots of people enjoy it because when a goal is scored, you can start celebrating.
Do you know what I would say though? And I've been with you for a long time. I've never liked VAR for the obvious reasons of the stopping the goals and the euphoric moments that I remember having with my dad, for example. That's why I love football. But I have come round to the thinking and watching certain games now where when players are constantly trying to stitch each other up, rolling around, diving about, trying to get penalties, cheat the referee, and the VAR cuts a lot of that out, that nonsense. And that's the best thing about it, is that players now, they do stupid things and then they, the face maybe when they've been hit in the chest. and someone could get sent off for that in the past.
Yeah.
But now that's not happening. So players are stopping doing it a bit because they think,
that's a fair point.
I mean, you're right, but then sometimes, by the same token, I see incidents where players at corners are being wrestled to the ground by defenders who are not even looking at the corner. Their back is to the corner and they're facing you and grabbing you around the waist, and VAR's not getting involved, but it's getting involved when a player has a toenail offside.
Well, some of that, and I've had a conversation about this recently, and some of it is because it's going on before the ball's in play. So we're watching it, you're at home seeing it, and you're thinking that's got to be, but the ball ain't even in yet. And that's when you see the refs go in and have a intervention.
I've seen a lot of examples where the ball
is in play, but they're not going to affect it because it's over them or whatever. It should still be pens, but they've gone off that. That's one I think they need to readdress.
But they've also said on that, and this is the irony with the City situation yesterday, they've said if both defender and attacker are having a go at each other, they're just going to leave it. Well, Szoboszlai had a go at Haaland. Haaland had a go at Szoboszlai. Just leave it. That's what they should have done yesterday.
I think it would have been best for all.
Magic Moments coming next with me, Adrian, Durham, with Jason Statham, and with Darren Lewis. You listen to Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org.
There's so many twists and turns in this. When you've been on this road, right? Now, look, there are certain people who were at that game yesterday, former Manchester United players who won this thing many, many times. I've won it as well. And you have to shut out the noise. It's about what you do, not what the opposition do. And, of course, it would have been handy if it had gone 9 points clear. But the fact that it didn't happen, Arsenal are not derailed by that. I actually saw a lot from Arsenal at the weekend that makes me think, actually, do you know what? They could go the distance. But this is the life. When you're trying to lead, when you're trying to be a prospective champion, Jim, there are twists and turns. You stay calm and you stay confident and you go to the next game. Arsenal play Brentford now. Now, for those people, the neutrals that were, by the way, Sunderland gave everything at the weekend. So nobody was like, it wasn't an easy gimme for Arsenal. Brentford now is another very difficult game for Arsenal.
Of course,
as it would have been if they would have been 9 points clear.
They're all difficult games. We know that. Psychologically, might this be bigger for Manchester City, though, Simon, than it is for Arsenal?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Arsenal. Arsenal don't need to worry about what Man City are doing. The only time Arsenal need to worry about what Man City are doing is when they're playing them. Arsenal are in control of their own destiny.
You don't think Arsenal players watched that game yesterday at Anfield?
They might do.
Of course they did.
Let's kick off on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian Durham with Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis. It's time now to get our magic moments of the weekend, all thanks to Ladisfaction from Ladbrokes.
Magic moments of the weekend on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, my tolerance level has peaked with VAR, so I don't want to moan about football anymore because football is fantastic. So let's get our magic moments of the weekend. We have this feature because we want to celebrate how brilliant football is. Danny Murphy, what are you going for?
Well, there wasn't many amazing moments.
No, agree with that.
Obviously, one brilliant one that Daz's going to talk about, but I thought Somerville's first goal for West Ham...
Little dink.
Yeah, it was a good... Fernandez did well for it, actually, and he's been good recently. But Somerville scored 5 in 5. But that moment was magic for the relegation race, the battle. From a punditry point of view, from a West Ham fan point of view, it just opens it up. It's now game on. 3 points is nothing when you're down there.
100%.
You know, and he's a big factor in why they're back in position to be anywhere near it. He's been absolutely brilliant.
He's taken his time arriving, hasn't he? Jared Bowen was their only player for a long time, but now he's been joined by, you mentioned Fernandez. I actually think Disasi was quite commanding at the weekend. At the
first clean sheet in 21.
Yeah, so that looks like a shrewd signing. But you're right, Somerville, just his dynamism. He makes things happen, doesn't he?
It's 5 games in a row that he scored now. And he's so quick, he's so clever, he creates opportunities, and the other players are feeding off him now because they understand that he's going to make that run that the defender's not expecting, and they're always in position to.
Okay, so who's going down then? We know Burnley are going down, Wolves are going down.
Well, West Ham are the form team if you go from West Ham to Tottenham, 29 points. You've got Palace, Tottenham, Forest, West Ham, Leeds. So up until the weekend, I think Palace were the worst run till they got the win on Sunday. And West Ham had the best run. So I sat on the fence until near the end of the show I was doing. And I don't know why, just off games I've seen recently, Forest mixing with European games, because he doesn't trust the squad players, does he? You know, after Wrexham. I'm thinking, don't know, there's something that doesn't, they're not looking.
There's even talk of him, the owner, getting rid of Deitch.
Well, with that owner, you never know. He could get rid of a manager a week after they come in. So if he loses 1 or 2 more, I'm not sure who they got in the week. I'll have a look in a minute. But I don't know. If you had to pick one, the strong money would still be on West Ham, so 3 points behind. But they're playing really well. I'd go Forest.
Darren?
She's going to annoy Forest fans.
By the way, they're home to Wolves.
Oh.
Has that changed your mind a little bit?
I think Tottenham will be all right.
And actually then, Forest are away to Brighton, who I think are in freefall. And I think it's all going wrong.
He's getting away with it, the Brighton
There's so much negativity around.
Isn't he getting away with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We never talk about it.
There's nothing very special there at all. I've got a lot to say about Fabian Hensler later in the show, so we may get to that. But I'm thinking Brighton they might just be okay because they've got that couple of extra points.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
I'm not sure, given the results and the way they're playing, I just don't see it. But Darren, who's going down?
The bottom 2 at the moment.
Okay.
And I do think West Ham will.
Go on, you're going to have to name one.
Well, I think I'm with you. I'm a bit torn because I do think West Ham will stay up. I have thought that for quite some time because I just think their ability to score goals is greater than 1 or 2 above them. I'm not as convinced as many people that Leeds will maintain their form for the remainder of the season.
Well, the thing is, and this is the thing with Leeds, a great shout. I think they've won 1 in 6.
Yeah, they've been on a run, yeah.
But actually, they've been playing well. And I mean, I did the game up in Newcastle. They were outstanding and lost last minute. I did the game at Sunderland for large periods. Very, very good, and got a draw. Playing well and not winning is not a good thing.
Okay.
So can they maintain this level of performance that isn't actually getting them that many wins? Home form might be a big thing for Leeds. Ellen Road, they're good there. Apart from the Arsenal game, they've been really good there. And I hope Leeds stay. I'm a big fan of Leeds. But, Yeah, I think you might be right.
Their away form is atrocious.
It is poor, yeah.
I think early in the season, Daniel Farke said 10 wins should be enough. I think he actually said 9. No, Alan Pardew said to be 9 wins. We were doing final word on a Sunday. Said 9 wins, and Daniel Farke said 10 wins.
10. You need 10. And
they're on 7 at the minute, but it may be that fewer than that will keep you up. Do you want my magic moment? It is.
Who are you thinking go down first?
Oh, right. Okay. You put me on the spot here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take a bit of Brighton.
Yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but Brighton, I think, might just steal it. It's self-indulgent. Peterborough United won 6-1 at the weekend. When your team wins 6-1, it's a very rare thing, by the way.
Yeah, they've been struggling, haven't they?
It's a beautiful thing. They've not had a great season at all. So this is a little bit of an insight to me on a Saturday. You know, I do the goals as they go in and all that. I'm at a game. I was at Burnley, West Ham at the weekend. And so, the first one goes in, I'm happy. Second one, then it goes 2-1. I'm thinking, I know what's happening here. They're going to come back. They're going to do us all negative. And so by the time 4, 5, and 6 go in, I am punching the air. When I'm reading out the results, and I am like, if you're watching, I'm like this. Peterborough United 6, Wigan 1. So I almost did Peterborough United 6. That's S-I-X. Wigan 1.
I'm glad you spelled it right.
Yeah, thank you. With what's on my mind, it's a surprise. So we won 6-1. That's my magic moment. But the issue is this. Ryan Lowe got sacked after the game, the Wigan manager. Wigan go to Arsenal next week in the FA Cup. We've got it live and exclusive on talkSPORT. If we're putting 6 past them and we're mid-table League One, even Arsenal's reserve side, what are they going to be doing to Wigan? Because they defended so badly.
I mean, do you not think, if you're going to get rid of him, keep him in place for that game?
Yeah, let him take the flak for the game.
I don't. I think
brutal. Imagine that board meeting. Well, let's keep him so that he gets the blame when we lose 25-1.
You wouldn't want to accept that.
Whoever's bringing and whatever level of confidence we're going to have, they're never getting a result at Arsenal.
No, that's true.
No, we're not talking about getting a result. It's damage limitation.
No, I know, but
there's no shame losing to Arsenal. But there is shame if you're losing double figures to Arsenal.
And it will be double.
But he's not going to play this. He wouldn't play the same way as at Arsenal as he went.
Doesn't matter how he plays.
They're saying they're going to defend. Yeah, they can't. They literally they're in free fall.
I did a show. Chelsea lost at home to somebody from League 1 or 2.
Oh, Bradford 4-2.
Bradford.
Yeah.
I think
a famous result. Mourinho was in charge. They were champions at the time.
Yeah, but Bradford were they League 2?
Yeah, League 2, yeah.
And I said before the game, just flippantly, I said, if Bradford win at Chelsea, I'll probably give up punditry. And the only thing that got me out of it was the word probably. And I was like, when you're watching the goals go in, it's like, the Irish lad scored a great one, didn't he? I was with him at Tottenham.
While you're trying to think,
I was with him at Tottenham.
Who's that then?
He was at Colchester as well.
Not Halliday, not.
It'll come to me in a minute. I'll give him a mention. She scored a worldie.
If you had done that now, they'd have clipped you up and put the sound of a heartbeat over it and a slow motion.
You'd have been a meme. Darren, very quickly, your magic moment.
If you love football, then that you cannot possibly look any further than that Szoboszlai goal against Manchester City.
The hit and hope,
Liverpool. No, he's done that many times before. Don't take that away from him. It was a fabulous goal. Lots of swaz, lots of good, fantastic technique. Trademark free kick.
Do you know what? It's not.
It's not a trademark free kick.
Of course it is in terms of scoring free kicks. He scored many, and now I'm being pedantic. That technique he did, he hasn't scored with one of them. The one against Arsenal was the other, like, bending right to left.
Right to
a bit
left,
more,
yes.
Much more difficult technique, that one, really. This one, he's cut across it.
Well, the camera angle showed you superbly.
It's a completely different technique.
Yeah.
And like the one where he went under the wall the other week, he's got like this variation in it. It's not, when Beckham's free kicks, they're all, whether he goes in that corner or that corner, they're all the same type. Wonderful, best I've ever seen out. But Szoboszlai is actually, yes, trademark as in scoring a free kick, but not trademark
in his usual technique. Yeah.
Mark Yates.
Yatesy, yes.
Yatesy.
Sorry, Yatesy.
Spurs.
It's been years, mate. I'm getting old.
Spurs,
He was a super technician.
He scored in injury time, made it 4-2. Those were our magic moments of the weekend that brought us satisfaction. All thanks to Ladbrokes. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Magic moments of the weekend on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Plenty more to come then. We're going to ask if Arsenal show any signs of letting up because they saw off Sunderland quite comfortably at the weekend. You can get involved as well. You can tweet us. You know where we are. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT.
If we look at the bottom of the table, we're looking at one spot. Do you believe that everybody up to and including Tottenham are in it?
Oh, without doubt. Absolutely. I would even take a step further and say Brighton and Palace will be all right, but I think they need a couple of victories, and the sooner they get them, the better. I thought that was a big result for Palace.
Yeah, Darren, who's a Palace fan, is texting us, morning, gents. As a Palace fan, I got to say, I really don't think we're in this anymore. Sar's come back from the Cup of Nations. Muniz has come back from injury.
Yes.
We signed a couple of quality players. Darren, I agree with you. I think Palace are safe-ish now.
That's where I am. Exactly. And that's the word I would use for those two, Brighton and Palace. As I say, brilliant result for Palace for the weekend. Really important. 3 points. Tottenham,
I mean, you would say Tottenham 6 points clear of West Ham. On the face of it, that's a nice cushion. But 4 games ago, they were 13 points clear of West Ham.
Mate, I'm watching that game, and I think the skipper should hang his head in shame, by the way, for his red card. I really do. And I can't believe, I just can't believe it's split. I mean, obviously decisions, it's all about opinions. I get all that, Jeff. The one thing I would say, every
Martin Keown is looking at the positives for Arsenal despite Man City clawing back some momentum in the title race.
Man City may look at this and say, well, do you know what, that was a definitive moment for us where we turn things around. It keeps the Premier League alive for the neutral, but it was always alive, Jim. And actually, I think 6 points instead of 9 is healthier.
Well, the Gunners' Invincible says being 6 ahead means people will stop saying the title is Arsenal's to lose. Meanwhile, the PGMOL and former refs are all backing the decision to chalk off City's 3rd goal at Anfield. But shock, Neil Warnock disagrees.
I remember Bill Shankly saying they know the laws, but they don't know the game.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed in all them years. They know the rules, they know it inside out, they know what should be happening, they know this, but they haven't got any idea about common sense.
Now, with doubts over Christian Romero's captaincy credentials, Simon Jordan says his red card over the weekend makes the Spurs manager look weak.
If Thomas Frank were working for me, I would be asking him why he doesn't have control over his player. Why his player seems to believe on 2 or 3 occasions now he's able to say what he wants about what he wants when he wants.
Well, Frank admits his skipper needs to learn from his mistakes. Spurs host Newcastle live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow night. And Eddie Howe says he'd resign if he didn't feel he was the right man to turn around the Magpies' poor form in recent weeks. Howe's also told us his harshest critic is himself.
The pressure that individuals or other people can put on you, it's irrelevant, really. I have to live with my own thoughts of myself and what I'm delivering, and that's very honest to say that after the game that I need to do better, and I will do better. It's part of the evolution. It's part of growing.
Brendan McCullum's job will be safe if England make the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. That's according to former England coach David Lloyd. But they'll have to make some serious improvements to make the latter stages. And freestyle skier Kirsty Muir narrowly missed out on Team GB's first medal of the Winter Olympics, finishing 4th in the women's slopestyle. She scored 76.05 points with a brilliant third run, only 0.41 points off bronze.
It's kick-off on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian, Darren. With me tonight, the former England midfielder Danny Murphy, played by Jason Statham tonight. And Darren Lewis is here as well. We've had our magic moments. Let's talk about what will be a magic moment for all Arsenal fans when they do finally win the title. And I think they're going to in May. They don't really show any signs of letting up, do they? They beat Sunderland 3-0 at the weekend. And actually, the first thing we should talk about here is Sunderland's away form, which, and you can't really criticise Sunderland at all. They've come up through the playoffs. They finished miles behind the top two in the Championship, and yet they're still going to outstrip them in the Premier League. They're going to stay up comfortably. They've got a chance of Europe. Their away form's shocking. They have scored 6 goals away from home, which is, it's actually a little bit embarrassing. In that stat alone, in isolation, is embarrassing. They've got a lot to stack up against it that's not embarrassing. That's actually very positive. But that stat on its own is a shocker. Only Wolves have scored fewer goals. And we're talking about 13 games, 6 goals. I thought they were competitive at Arsenal, Sunderland. But I don't know, Danny, if you're not scoring goals away from home, 6 in 13 games away from home, is that something that, even though they're 9th in the table and they're going to stay up comfortably, Sunderland, and you've got to praise them for the season they've had, is that something that the manager should be addressing with his players? If you're a player with that record.
I think he'll be very aware of it and looking at, the reasons why. I think the biggest problem he'd have is if he changes the setup that's doing so well from at home and decides to go with a much more brave, now he's got the points on the board, adventurous plan away from home, then there's a risk that you get caught in between both. Then you go back to your own games and you're not playing. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So Roy at Fulham, Roy Hodgson, he would play the same way whether we were playing Man U or Bristol Rovers in the Cup. And it was frustrating at times. Well, let's say we're playing Blackpool at home in the Prem and we're thinking, let's just go after them. Wouldn't have it, because he didn't think we had a group of players capable enough of being able to turn it on one week with that playing that way. We've worked all week. We're working week in, month in to create this system that gets us joy. Now, it just so happens it's getting Sunderland a lot of joy at home and not away, and they're in a great position. So he probably thinks, I don't want to mess that up. So their away form, although poor, is just a continuation of what they do week in, week out on the training pitch, I'm assuming, to then keep the good form going at home, rather than having 2 different game plans. And I know you could say, well, footballers should be able to change, and I'm sure he does adapt it a bit depending on the opposition. But you can't, it's difficult for a group of lads, especially when they're rotating players so often. I know they've had players at AFCON and stuff. It's difficult to say, right, we're going to play differently, home and away. Like, try and do the same principles, play the same way. And I think they've been unlucky in some of the away games I've seen. But that's a lot. That's a poor start, the goals one.
It is, yeah. And I think
they actually played well at Arsenal, by the way.
They did. They were competitive. Robbie, I thought, caused them problems. And
they missed a couple of good chances.
Martin Keown was doing the game for us on Saturday. And Martin Keown actually said that the Arsenal centre-halves needed to stop being so tight on Brian Brobby. This is Martin Keown, known as the Rash. He was telling the defenders to stand off him, and you know, you could understand what he was saying.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
But let's point out Sunderland unbeaten at home, the only unbeaten home side.
Unbelievable.
So
the key thing is that they're working through a strategy. The owner is quite a young owner, Dreyfus.
Yeah.
And the strategy was to come up, invest in young players with a big resale value, maintain the Premier League position, and then really start to go in a second season. And so if they don't feel they're entertaining us, I don't think they'll be too upset about that. I mean, I do take your point about, you know, the lack of that goal return as it starts to get to the business end of the season and people start fighting for their lives or pushing for Europe or pushing for the title. No game will be easy. And if you can't score goals in that final third of the season, that could see you drop from what looks like a healthy league position.
I was thinking more of next season. So, for example, all right, they've got this incredible home record: 12 games, they've won 7, drawn 5, lost none. You've got nothing but praise for that. Is that really going to happen next season? Are they really going to stay unbeaten at home next season?
No, but I think that they're realists, and I think that, listen, 1 or 2 of their best players might go in the summer.
They'll reinvest as well if they stay up.
But they'll reinvest if they'll stay up.
The point I'm making is if you're getting such little joy away from home, and they have won at Chelsea this season.
They did actually.
I mean, and 2 of those 6 goals came in that win at Chelsea. So a third of their away goals this season came in one game at Chelsea. It's even more remarkable.
And do you know what? I actually don't think he'd be too stressed about it, or the club won't, because when you come up from they've decided to be really good.
Yeah, they've got a plan.
Really, really strong defensively, and then at home they've got a bit more about them and able to cause teams problems.
And this guy Lafay, I mean, what a player! He's such a joy to watch.
He is.
You pick him out every time you do match of the day, don't you?
I mean, that would be a harsh accusation. He is a talent, though. You're right.
He could play at a Champions League club.
They've made. We've talked on how many occasions, whether at a match or on a show, recruitment. You know, if you do well in your recruitment, because they brought in double-figure players, didn't they? 10, 12 players.
30 million on
they
the
spent 140 million.
140, but a lot of them have succeeded. And also, you know, let's give them some credit. When they lost I think they lost 3 or 4 regular starters to AFCON, still nicked some results. So the squad's decent, but whoever's doing the recruitment at Sunderland deserves some credit because they've got really good athletes, strong, but they can play a bit, technically decent. And as I said, there's not many teams who'll go to Arsenal and cause them problems like Sunderland did.
It wasn't a 3-0, and no. You know, Arsenal, I think themselves would admit that. But
Arsenal's strength in depth.
Yeah,
when they were getting leggy.
Here's the thing I wanted to talk about, and it is Arsenal's strength in depth. So there was a discussion. Me and Alex Crook, he was at the game on Saturday. I was discussing with him what did he think the top line was from the team news, and he said it was Victor Gyökeres being dropped to the bench. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. And I think it is a story without a doubt. People will focus on it, but I think that's more rotation than anything else. And Gyökeres comes on, scores 2 goals, and he said afterwards that Mikel Arteta had said to him, "You're on the bench, but I need you to come on, and I want you. I think this is the moment for you to shine." It's good man management or whatever. 6 in 8 for Gyökeres now. I mean, the narrative that he's actually been a bad signing, should that stop? 6 in 8.
Well, I think like most new signings, if you're patient enough and you're not emotionally invested in Arsenal, you've got to give it to the end of the season and judge his impact. I mean, there is a talk, you know, that we did a stat at the weekend talking about the fact nobody scored more goals than him since the turn of the year, which is a good stat for him, 6 and 8, like you said. And then someone said, well, you know, he's not done it against any of the big teams. But Arsenal don't struggle against the big teams. They don't want a striker who necessarily scores in the big games. They were all right. Their record against the big teams the last couple of years has been brilliant. It's the teams they shouldn't be losing to or drawing to at home where they've struggled.
Good point.
So, actually...
Darren, you had a face on when I'm talking about Gyökeres. Are you not convinced by him?
No. Listen, what I didn't want to do is be a hypocrite, basically, because I started the show by saying, listen, I think it's too soon to start breaking out the bunting for any title winners. And I feel the same in terms of new players coming into the Premier League. I felt for a long time that we judged them very harshly, very quickly. And it takes time. Not, you know, you might come from a European team and your English might be fine, but then it's about settling into a new team, a new system, a new way of working, a discipline. I remember Mark Gahey's interview after he signed for Manchester City, the Flash interview, and he said, he was asked about what it was like ahead of the game, and he said, there is a lot of detail that you get before the game. And it really struck me because, he's come from a club where the manager has won the Europa League, got a team into the Champions League, Frankfurt, Glasgow. He's no slouch himself. But when you make that move from a good club to one of the elite, there is a difference, and the difference is in small details. And if you go to an Arsenal, you are going to get your head full of small details that we out on the outside may never know about. So it's really important to cut players like that some slack. It might be that they come into their own the second or third season. I think I'm not going to judge him yet.
I think what you see with him is what you get. You're not going to see a player evolve into something other than what he is now. He is what he is.
But I'm not suggesting he's going to be any different.
No, I'm not.
I'm suggesting that he's going to be more confident,
more consistent,
and he's going to be more consistent.
I don't think he's the answer long term.
We're running out of time on this. I really want to put this Iberieza question to you both. He cost 60 million with add-ons to get to Arsenal, but he hasn't started any of the last 5 Premier League games. Since his hat-trick against Spurs in November, he started 3 Premier League games, subbed on 72 at Chelsea with a score at 1-1. Chelsea down to 10 men in that game. Subbed at half-time at Villa when they were 1 down. Subbed on 57 at home to Wolves, and they were 0-0. So I'm looking at he didn't start on the weekend either. That was with Odegaard injured. He preferred Havertz at 10.
Played in the League Cup though midweek, didn't he? Semi.
Yeah, that's fine.
And in Inter.
But he wants to be a Premier League impact player, and he wants to be in the England team, never mind squad. So I'm wondering if it was the right move for him, or do I just have to give him time? Or is he actually the kind of player who really shines at Crystal Palace but can't shine at Arsenal for whatever reason? You might know better than me. So, but right now, he's not going to be feeling good about it, is he? He hasn't started the last 5 Premier League games.
No, the problem is with certain players, if you don't know how they train and how they conduct themselves around the place, it's very hard to judge why they might not be playing sometimes. But the Villa away game really killed him.
Yeah, when he lost Matty Cash
twice.
For a goal, yeah.
One was a goal, the other one should have been a goal. And he was playing on the left where he doesn't really want to play. And Arteta, if you're playing wide for Arteta, you've got to track the fullbacks. That's just standard. You can't. Arteta does not have passengers in his team defensively. He wouldn't allow anyone to do what Salah did.
Garner described it as in Arteta jail.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I think he went harsh. He's put him in solitary confinement after that for a while.
He's in a padded cell.
A little bit. He wasn't even using him as a sub, was he? And I think that probably come from his reaction to being dropped, and probably his reaction to being given a rollicking.
Okay.
So I think it's just a time thing with him. Physically capable, technically brilliant, wonderful player. No problem on that side of it. He's just got to get in his head that he's got to get fitter and work harder. Now, the thing is at Arsenal, whatever your opinion is of Odegaard, he is the best pressing number 10 on the planet.
Oh, he works, yeah.
Him and Szoboszlai probably. Set in when Szoboszlai does eventually play there, maybe. Again, press, work back, get back in, press. And if Eza's going to play as a 10, he's got to get that in his game more. And he didn't have to at Palace. But is he capable? Of course he is. I'll never forget doing a piece a few years ago when Pep Guardiola had give Aguero a rocket for not running around and pressing enough. And I watched Aguero for about 2 or 3 months, pressing everybody that moved. Now, if you can get Aguero to press properly and David Silva to press, after already winning leagues when he walked through the door, anybody can do it.
I remember when Pep said he'd arrived because Aguero had won the league.
He left him out a few times.
He did, and when he arrived, he did that press conference when he said he's not working hard enough, he's not good enough.
Yeah,
and there was a big
I don't know, I couldn't remember that.
Eyebrows, wasn't there? Everybody was just like, "What the? This guy's a super striker." But Guardiola said, "No, my standards are higher."
And I know we need a break, but that's why I've always said with Salah. I know Salah's a bit older now, and we're not ever doubting Salah's ability, but I've never understood that the slot thing doesn't have to. I mean, he's been defending since he's been back in the team. By the way, his defending against City was good.
Yeah.
Do you see how many times he was running back? Of course, he can do it.
Let's see what happens with Eza. I think it's been an interesting move for him, but he could end up winning a quadruple. It's kick-off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org.
I'm all for the hard yards, and I don't think getting rid of Aubameyang was the same comparison because Arsenal didn't miss him and didn't lose anything as a result.
They did. That season he went to Barcelona and scored a hatful of goals. They made the Champions League. Arsenal didn't win the Champions League, but their future was to be a better one.
Everybody knew
there has to be a sacrifice
here. Sat in the studio, and me and Jim being included, forecast that Aubameyang would lift the leg when he went to Barcelona. We all knew it because he'd go and do it in Spurs. What he was doing was creating a polluted environment inside the dressing room that was relatively solidified in certain ways of a new manager.
Impressionable young players.
This is a different dressing room. Now, I don't disagree. The harder yards are that you take control of a situation. So let's get it right. Arteta was being supported by his board. He was supported by his board in the Aubameyang decision. You've got a group of people that didn't employ Thomas Frank, that are not entirely sure about Thomas Frank's future. So he's going to go to them and say, the player that you just signed a 4-year contract on, that we've made captain, I'm going to jettison him.
You're suggesting that, son. You wholeheartedly, they gave Thomas Frank the job.
No, they didn't.
Well, why not? How are you saying this? Do you have inside information that we don't have then?
Yes, I do. Because Daniel Levy and self-evident information.
He's not there anymore, is he? So what's he going to do?
So my point. Don't be so bloody stupid then. Daniel Levy's not there, and neither is Paratici. They were the two.
So he's exposed now because he's gone.
Yes, I do. I think he's absolutely got no allies there.
Well, maybe he's better off with.
Kick-off on talkSPORT. I could tell you on talkSPORT 2, Middlesbrough 1-0 up against Sheffield United. Tommy Conway, who they signed from Bristol City. He's a big hero at Middlesbrough. They love him. He loves Middlesbrough, and he's scored. He's in good form as well. With that, Middlesbrough will be going top of the table. Sheffield United had a couple of chances before that, but 21 gone. Sheffield United 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Clear Coventry were, start of January.
Coventry fans are not happy, by the way. I mean, they are, well, until this game finishes, they are top of the table still. Yeah. But if it had been the other way round, where they, but
that's amazing, isn't it?
You can't say that, though.
Which is what Mark Robbins used to do with them.
Yeah.
Start poorly, and then.
That's exactly right, yeah. Now,
at least they're having a different. At least it's not the same every season.
That's true. A former Middlesbrough manager. The last Middlesbrough manager was Michael Carrick. He's now the manager of Manchester United. 4 from 4. So let's hear from a United treble winner. Dwight York joined the breakfast show this morning on talkSPORT. He gave his opinion on whether Carrick should keep the job.
But traditionally, you guys know if you do well in the job, when you've been installed as interim manager, you tend to go on and get the job. So that shouldn't change. I think if Carrick is doing a splendid job, which he is, and that carry on to the end of the season and certainly get into the Champions League and finish in that top 4 very comfortable, why would you overlook that? Yes, there is big names. We have seen big names come to United over the years. Hasn't really done a terrific job, although they have won major competition in the Cup. But in terms of the league, they haven't really sustained and give us what we expected.
Dwight York on the breakfast show this morning saying if he keeps it going, if they get into the Champions League, give him the job. Well, all the midweek Premier League games this week are live and exclusive on talkSPORT. You're going to need the talkSPORT app, so get that on your phone or your tablet or whatever. And you can head to live games on the talkSPORT app and navigate your way around from there. Get the game of your choice. And tomorrow I'll be at the London Stadium, West Ham against Manchester United. Michael Carrick going back to his first club. But what have you seen that's changed, Danny Murphy, for Manchester United from the inconsistent, if I'm being kind, pretty terrible, if I'm being realistic, Amorim side to this Michael Carrick side that, albeit 4 games, but they've beaten Man City, they've won at Arsenal and gave great excitement and enjoyment and entertainment beating Fulham and then comfortably beat Tottenham. What have you seen that he has changed?
Well, I think from a football perspective, the system is basically more orthodox generally, although he tweaked it at the weekend, which was really clever. Back 4, midfield 3, or, however, 2-1-3, whichever, however you want to look at it. The reality is players enjoy simplicity in that respect and be playing in the roles you're used to playing. Bruno's playing as a 10. He enjoys that, less defensive response. Mainu and Casemiro, they're next to each other, open each other out. They're not as isolated as much. their distances between each other are good. You can see they've worked on it. They kind of attack together. They drop in at times. Maybe Fulham first off, I watched where they were caught in between a little bit. They weren't playing City or Arsenal, so they were thinking, should we go and have a press? And then Fulham played through them quite a few times, and it was like, ooh. And then they dropped in and got themselves together and composed more for the second half. But I suppose the bigger thing than the football tactical element is what he's done in terms of giving players the confidence and freedom to just be themselves, really. They look like they're enjoying it. They look like they're wanting the ball. I mean, Bruno's the same all the time, to be fair. But even if you look at Mainu coming in, he's not playing cautious. He's still playing round corners and getting it in tight areas. Casemiro's enjoying himself. He doesn't look like he's under pressure anymore, or he feels like he's going to be hammered every time he gives the ball away. They're all playing with a freedom and a belief that wasn't there before. So the football side of it, for sure. But whatever he's saying to them individually in little groups, and whatever words he's using, whatever motivation, or he seems to have a group now who are on board with him. And I know that sounds simplistic.
No, not at all.
But to have players of that quality, a lot of them are superstars, all on board with what he's trying to... I would imagine it's quite simple messaging. My gut feeling is Amorim was an over-talker.
Yes.
Too much information. Too many tweets.
He overtalked in press conferences.
I know.
Never mind
I was
team
being
talks,
kind.
Yeah.
But
There's lots of people go,
yeah. But I've been there as a player.
Right.
Where a coach is it just becomes noise. Whereas Carrick's calm and he's been there. He's been there as a player at United, I'm talking about, which does help. I don't care what anyone says. It helps a little bit.
No, I agree. The biggest thing I could say about United and Carrick in particular is that for the first time in ages, I enjoy watching Man United. And I'm speaking as a neutral here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
That I cannot remember a period in the last 2 years, 3 years where I've enjoyed watching Man United, where they've been entertaining and exciting. Everybody has been well aware that 3 at the back with with a club that's had its most storied moments with 4 at the back was never going to work. United are the club of wingers and Beckham and Giggs and balls into the box and defenders cowering because strikers are hungry to get to it, and they're a club of character and charisma, and you're seeing little bits of that come back into the Manchester United side now. And what you started off with is quite key, because they had a couple of big wins and everyone said yes, but what's the attitude going to be like when they play a Fulham? When they play a smaller side? And the attitude was the same, and the messaging coming out. I saw Bruno Fernandes's flash interview the other day, and he talked about the simplicity of Carrick's message, and he talked about the fact that the players want to play for him. There's one small thing as well. I watched the Arsenal game, and I watched Carrick in the dugout, and I watched Arteta in the other dugout. And Arteta was, as Arteta normally is, all arms and micromanaging and whatever else.
Referee in the game, yeah.
And Carrick had his arms behind his back. And to your point, I get the feeling he's let the players take the responsibility, make decisions, be leaders.
Yeah.
Understand.
He's not dictating over every little... To be fair, to give Arteta some credit, actually, I think he's chilled a bit this season.
I think he has, but
I don't mean necessarily on the touchline, but in his interviews and stuff.
No, that's true.
He's not as emotional.
I agree.
Absolutely. There's less
focused,
less post-match interviews with him in a bad mood. Yeah.
The game, in that game, the difference in dynamism was quite striking.
I also think with that Fulham game, they responded so well to the setback of going 2-2 late in the game, and I think that was key, because I think that heads could have dropped. The atmosphere from fans could have been...
Well, even Sesko now looks a player now. He looks hungry. There is that desire. He did, but the fact is that he's got in there. He's got in there. All of us looked at him and thought, another expensive mistake.
The other thing with Carrick as well is that, and I've got to bring it up because I did it the weekend, and I thought it was really prevalent for anyone who thinks he's not necessarily a great coach or tactician. I'm obviously a big fan of Steve Holland. He used to be my youth coach, so good match there. But you'd think after winning the 3rd game in a row, the week after with the same players available, you go out again. But he tweaked it. He played Cunha and Bruno, 2 false 9s or 2 10s, whatever you want to say. And he put in Mbeumo, who's been scoring, as the centre forward, who's been brilliant, by the way, as centre forward.
Brilliant.
Put him out left. And Tottenham centre-halves and the Tottenham midfield were caught in between all the time. And it just kept happening, and that's him. He's tweaked it. He's done it. I know, don't get me wrong, you're talking about two quality players who know how to find space against any formation, but I was watching it going, I'm surprised he's done that.
You play with Carrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he one of the best you've ever played with? You played with some good players.
Played with him at Spurs, right?
Yeah, only a few times, because he left. He was there the second half of the season when I signed in Jan, so I played with him a few times. He's calm, very elegant footballer, very clever, and I remember him more playing against him than with him.
Right.
Because I used to especially when I dropped into the same role he played when I was at Fulham, and I used to play a lot of balls, and you try and play them without looking, and be cute and clever. When to try and play through the lines and when to play safe. And he was one of the best I ever played against at cutting my passes out, because he thinks he was thinking, I know what he's doing. He's looking over there. He's going to go there, or he's there and he's going to go there. He used to give him like a little smile as if saying, "Got you again." And same, I nicked a few of his. Do you know what I mean? And Brigitte used to have a little laugh about it. But he's a
fantastic thinker of the game, and I think even before he took the job, we all know that there were a couple of naughty things said about him. And in this social media era, he could easily have gone on a podcast and had a pop back, or he could have gone. But it's not him, exactly. And I think the leadership and the emotional intelligence to be able to think, I'm just going to be clear-headed, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to let the job do my talking for me. If they get Champions League football, I do not see the reason why you need to go and get another higher profile manager. It's the vogue at the moment, and people want what glitters, right? But if you look sometimes at football history, I remember after Sam Allardyce lost the England job and everyone wanted a higher profile manager, and the right man for the job was so low maintenance he could have been wearing one sandal. But I think as far as Gareth Southgate is concerned, he came in and he managed to understand the dressing room. And I think there was a lot said about tactics and bringing in big players and will they be attracted. But how many of those managers will understand the dressing room, the ethos, the fan base, the assignment?
The only thing I would say with all of it is that at the moment, he's kind of a holiday in it. It's a holiday.
There's no pressure with it.
There is pressure, but not in the same way as if he'd been given the job permanently.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, he's probably quite relaxed. Because what's the worst that can happen?
But then at the same time, I mean, and again, you know him. I wonder if he is treating it like a holiday. I wonder if he is.
I don't mean that disrespectfully.
I know, but I think there is a professionalism about the way that he's doing it, and as you saw with Middlesbrough,
but there's a calmness that comes from probably not having that external pressure of because.
But as you said, he's calm anyway.
Yeah, he's calm anyway.
He's very low maintenance anyway. I remember when I covered Spurs and he was there, and the most anxious he got was when Man United came in and he thought the move was going to break down because Daniel Levy wouldn't let him go. But he is a very low maintenance character. And so I think that, to be honest, that's probably what Man United need with so much noise around them. As they're a superpower in world football.
I think if they get top four, I'd give it.
Yeah,
got to give him that job.
I think we're all agreed. If they agree with Dwight York on breakfast early, if they get top four, it's Carrick's job. We're going to talk about Spurs next.
Oh no.
Dave from Sutton says, City goal should have stood. I hate how ex-refs say rules are rules, ruining the game. VAR can bore off. Charlie from Derby, thank God it was the third goal and not the second, because City would have lost 2 points. Another one here saying, the ref has to take the emotion out of it and disallow the goal. Isn't football all about emotion? Without emotion, what would the point be in anybody watching at all? And so on, and so on, and so on. So many people are furious with it all. And maybe our next caller, I'm not sure, about to find out, because Neil Warnock has called up. Morning, Neil.
Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, lads. Yeah, I had to do that, yeah.
Go. Come on, then. What did you make of it?
Well, the thing is, I go back to when I was a young kid, me. My dad refereed. He was a top referee, a Class 1 one. But he would never get to the top because he didn't sell enough raffle tickets for him and these dinners and things. he just refereed how he should do by using common sense, so he never got on. And I remember Bill Shank...
It's kick-off on talkSPORT, and Middlesbrough still 1-0 up at Sheffield United and going top of the Championship. That's live on talkSPORT 2 right now. We're going to look at Spurs, who lost again, and they've got one or two problems. They're actually in a relegation battle at this moment in time, whether you like it or not. Thomas Frank, earlier today in his press conference, spoke with talkSPORT's Ian Abrams. Ian asked him about his comments earlier in the press conference when he said they're desperate for a win.
Could have worded it differently, maybe. But I actually think there's something in it. It should be that feeling. It should be that feeling when we haven't won enough. So the way I work, we're all different, is that if you haven't, how can I say, won enough, or you haven't done, then you do everything you can, and you actually do a little bit more. You work a little bit harder. You just know that's the way out of a tough moment. So that's what I expect from the players, and I actually think that's what I see from the players. I think they run very hard, and I think that's why I'm so annoyed that we couldn't get anything out of the Man United game, because then it would have been 5 games, and I'm convinced 11 against 11 we would have got something out of it. Of course, you never know, but there were 5 games with positive, and then we could, really try to turn a corner. And of course, when you haven't won enough, you need to be desperate, because if you're not desperate, you don't understand, how can I say, the situation you're in terms of, don't win enough, you need to turn it and win enough football games. That's what we want for the fans. That's what we want for the team, for the club.
See, I can see your passion there, your body language, the way you used your hands, banged on the table. Are you getting enough of that when your team crosses the white line on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday or Wednesday? Are you getting the sort of, real oomph from them, do you feel, that I'm seeing now from you in a press conference?
I think I do. What I say, because there's always small ups and downs in games and where there's different momentum. But I really mean what I've said. I've said that quite a few times. Not everything's been perfect, but the ability to run and fight from the team in the last 11 games has been very, very good.
talkSPORT's Ian Abrams asking the questions in that press conference with Thomas Frank. A little bit there where he said you need to be desperate. That kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit. I mean, Spurs are in a relegation battle. Whether their fans think it, whether you think they're going to go down or not, they are in a relegation battle. They've got work to do to stay up. So, is desperation the right word? He said they were desperate for a win.
Yeah, you can be desperate for a win. I don't think you should ever play with a desperation, because you play with emotion then, not your brain. It was actually Hulier's consistent message throughout his whole time at Liverpool about controlling emotion, playing with this and not letting that overtake that. And it was a great message. But in terms of Tottenham, I was at the Dortmund game, played well. City second half, showed some spirit, looked decent. Villa second half in the FA Cup, showed fight, showed good play. Now, why can't they play 90 minutes? Is it fear? Is it the way he sets them up? Whatever. But they've got enough to stay up. I don't worry about that. They've got some tough fixtures at the moment. can't understand for the life of me. I mean, let's get it right about the game Saturday. They were in it. It was a good game. It was a great start. Saturday morning games or Saturday lunchtime games are normally a bit passive. It's like, the fans aren't up for it and the players don't want to get up that early. But it was electric. I mean, Spurs were at it. They were having a good go. Could have gone either way for a while. Both getting in good positions. United probably edging it. And Romero does what he does. Like, ridiculous tackle. Thomas Frank cannot be blamed for that loss at Man United. Now, he can be blamed for leaving the armband with him or not getting in his head to behave better or control his emotion. That's partly the manager's job. But for Romero to do that after the ridiculous social media stuff, which I still don't understand. What the hell? He should have been fined 2 weeks' wages for that and probably dropped if they had more players fit and left if they had Danso fit. Well, just right. Because what is he actually saying there? If he's saying to the hierarchy, we haven't got enough players. I mean, is he absolutely stupid? I mean, forwards, Muani, Richarlison, Odebear, Solanke, Madison, Simons, Kudos, Kulusevski, Tell. Forget if you think they're good enough. There's loads of players. Midfield, Sarr, Gallagher, Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, Paulinho. Now, they've got more forward options than any other team in the Prem. So what's he saying? Now, if he'd have come out and gone articulately, I think we've got to have a look at the medical staff. Or the coaching. Something's not right. The pitches. We can't have that many players injured. Something's not right here. Something's got to be looked at. Someone upstairs has got to look at what's going on with all these injured players. How can we have that many injured players? That's ridiculous. I'd go, strong, but maybe he's got a point. His point, there's no substance to the out.
There's no intelligence with it, is there?
No, because they've got more players. They've got more options in forward play. They've got, I've just named 9. It's that's where a manager, that's where I always use Houllier because it's a comparable club size. If someone come out under Houllier and spoke like that, even if it was nonsense, because it doesn't make any sense, but even if it made sense, you'd be out. You would just go, bum, out the team. He might let you back in if you apologise and you do the right thing.
Is Thomas Frank then, has he got to change his ways? Because he's just let him get away with it and then he's gone and done what he's done on Saturday. So has he got to be more forceful?
I think he does, but I think that I think he's recognising Romero's seniority in the team, but I'm 1,000% with Danny. I did a podcast, Last Word on Spurs. I do that relatively regularly, and I said then in January during the mid-season transfer window, and at the time, Romero had done another post, and I said that I'd sell him. He is not good enough for Tottenham. But yes, people throw at you, we love him, he's done well at Argentina, Messi loves him, that's good enough for me, and all of that.
No, he does.
But for Tottenham, he is not good enough, and people throw at you, other players liked it. If those other players did their jobs, Tottenham wouldn't be without a Premier League win since the end of December. The fact is that is no kind of validation for what Romero has said. For me, he plays like a player who believes he should be at a bigger club. He has no regard for Tottenham, no respect for Tottenham. He is not a captain in the mould of a Declan Rice, a Virgil van Dijk, a Martin Odegaard, who either lead with the way that they represent themselves off the pitch or with their inspirational performances. And when I look at Romero, I see somebody who, in their most difficult moments as a football team and a club, he lets them down.
It's all about him.
It's all about him. And if I was him, in the summer, even if they do go out and do a bit of business, sell him first.
He'll be gone.
So, here's a question. Bearing in mind what happened at Spurs last season, if Spurs, hypothetical world here, if Spurs get relegated but win the Champions League, do they sack Thomas Frank?
No.
Okay.
I think if they win the Champions League, he's done the Championship, hasn't he?
Just thinking.
So they would just bounce straight back.
Big Ange won the Europa League and
Champions League's a bit different.
I know it's a bit different, but
that would be like Wigan winning the FA Cup and getting relegated. A little bit. And actually, Martinez went to a better job in the end. And look at Wigan now. I don't think they should get rid of Frank, by the way.
No, I don't.
I think they should see if he can just see how he goes from now the end of the season and if it picks up, because I think they've been doing a bit better.
And also, they cannot afford to bring in another manager. I think they've had something like 6 in the last 8 years. You cannot bring in other managers. What they have to do, and Spurs fans, they have a go. And this is what I mean about the irrelevance of what Romero said. the club know what they have to do. The messaging's been better since Daniel Levy left. Vinay Venkatesham's come out, and Lane came out. You might disagree with what they said the other day, but the fact is that the communication is a lot better. Now they've got to stop promising jam tomorrow. They've got to deliver. And this transfer window in the summer is probably their biggest for years. But if they don't start to deliver, then there is going to be a bit of an eruption there.
Okay, just one question based on that Man United Spurs game. If you've got to vote for player of the season tomorrow, Bruno Fernandes, is he... Bearing in mind we don't know who's going to win the title. Middlesbrough 2 up, by the way.
I think if Arsenal go on to win it, you'd probably be looking at one. Declan Rice has been a hard one to...
Zubimendi's been good.
Zubimendi's been really good. Bruno's been terrific. I actually think Bruno was, although he still does the odd bit of silliness, the whinging or throwing his arms, I do think he's definitely improved that part of his game. I don't even mean under Carrick. I just mean the whole season. He's been better at that. And I think he's obviously listened to a lot of people speak, probably former United captains and players who spoke about his behaviour, and actually being a maturer guy, thinking, do you know what? Actually, I've seen him. I watch him sometimes, and he goes into a challenge where there's a coming together, and he might go over, and he's like, he knows he hasn't been, and he jumps up. He's not as bad as he was, but the football element of Bruno, he's super technician and brave as a lion on the ball. It just makes things happen.
It's kick-off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org. We'll talk about Newcastle next.
These players sometimes have got too much of it. They live in an environment where they're constantly told how wonderful they are. They're constantly provided for and supported, and you have to do that because it's a difficult game at times to play at elite levels. And don't put all the rewards to one side. But unless you start confronting people with their shortcomings as well as their positives, you will not build character, you will not build resilience, you will not build leaders, and you will not build people that actually make a team.
But Van Dijk says, Simon, when you're getting bullied after a disappointing performance or receiving bad criticism, it's hard for the younger stars to ignore.
Jim,
you dish it out, to be fair to you. You can dish it out.
We're talking about former...
Do you ever
with respect, we're not talking about Simon here, we're talking about former players.
Do you ever think
could I speak on
that?
that?
Should a pundit ever think for a moment, I wonder if that kid, I wonder if that will affect him, what I've just said.
Depends what's being said about them. If you turn around and say that a 19-year-old kid is absolutely useless and thick and ugly, then you're getting into...
Half-time, Sheffield United 0, Middlesbrough 2, live on talkSPORT 2. Borough going top of the Championship above Coventry. It is talkSPORT, it's kick-off. I'm Adrian, Durham, Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis with me. We've been chatting about, off air a little bit about England, who's going to be in the World Cup squad. Can I ask you a quick one, very, very quick one? Manchester City are 1 down, and then they're 1-1, and they need to win a game yesterday, and Phil Foden stays on the bench. What is going on with Phil Foden? Does he even go to the World Cup?
I think it's another, what we talked about, Arteta and Eza. I think Pep's the same. Over the years, I remember seeing Stones bombed after having a great season because he wasn't quite at it, and he brought him back a season later. You know, Foden sometimes is the apple of Pep's eye. He's playing every game.
Been player of the year under him, hasn't he?
Then all of a sudden, bam. And I think Pep's another one. If he doesn't see you quite at it in training or have a couple of games where you're not the intensity he wants, bum, he just discards you temporarily.
I think I'm the same. And the word that came straight to mind is management, because we all talk about tactics and formations and whatever else, and we don't actually talk about the management of players. And sometimes, it might be maybe he's not at it in training. It might be actually something positive that he's trying to support him through. We can't just always.
We don't know that.
Exactly.
But it's management, and I think that there's no doubt about his quality as a player. And I do think England's needs are different to City's needs, so I would take him absolutely.
Talking of management, speaking in his press conference earlier today, Eddie Howe was questioned on whether he feels he's still the right man for the job at Newcastle.
No, there's no doubt in my mind, and that's why I'm sat here. If there was, then I wouldn't be, because, as I said, the club's the most important thing. So I'd never put myself before the club if I didn't think I was the correct man to take the team forward and I could give the players what they need. Then I would step aside and let someone else do it.
Interesting from Eddie Howe there, that if he really didn't feel he was right, he would go. Let's see if that point ever comes. And I can understand, he's got some credit in the bank. He won a trophy last season at a club that just cannot win trophies. So there's definitely credit in the bank. But here's a question, right? Because a lot has been said. I heard your colleague Alan Shearer, a Newcastle legend, talking about the board and the spending, etc. I will ask this question specifically, tactically, with selections as well. Should Eddie Howe be doing better than he is this season?
They should be in a better place in the league. Absolutely. And I think he'd probably be the first to say that with the quality they've got.
The bottom half.
Yeah. I think he'd be really disappointed with the impact of the new signings. Although Voltemade, I know Wissett's had a long injury, so that, we know what he can do if you give him a bit of time. But Voltemade has started okay, but he's fallen away a little bit. Elanga looks like it's a bit big for him at the moment, the size of the club and the expectation, playing with a bit of fear. And you could argue Anthony Gordon's not hit the heights he was at last season in terms of, his Premier League numbers are poor.
Yeah.
Barnes is the only one, really. Murphy, unbelievable last season. Now, he's not hit the same amount of numbers because he's not getting the same minutes, to be fair to him. So the firepower they've brought in, if you think of them last season at their best, with Isak, Gordon flying, Murphy down the right, now you're looking at them from a creative perspective and goals. I mean, they had a few chances in the League Cup semi, didn't they?
They did. They had some one-on-ones.
Yeah, but they look a bit powder puff up top.
Well, Voltemade,
you don't say that now.
Probably not. Voltemade his stat is incredible with Voltemade. He's scored in only one of his last 19 appearances for Newcastle.
But he's used very differently.
That's a big money striker. That
it is a big money striker, but he's used very differently for Newcastle than he is for Germany.
So he's used wrongly by Newcastle then?
Well,
you're a kind way of saying Eddie Howe's not usually.
Well, he wasn't usually. Well, I mean, they do get.
Listen, I'm experienced enough to say that I'm a very fascinated by the way that Germany is an automatic pick, and if he doesn't score goals, he creates goals for the likes of Serge Gnabry. I'm not going to be scared to say that. I think when Newcastle, are Newcastle good enough not to be playing an international striker who, when he pulls on his international shirt, creates or scores goals? At the moment, no. You look at their league position, they're not good enough. As you say, the interesting thing about the clip you just played and the fact that question is being broached by the guys up north who are all, very objective and, very understanding of the job that Eddie has done. But the fact that it's even a question is quite striking to me, because all of us accept the scale of the job that Eddie's done up there. You said it before, he's won a trophy. How many years has that narrative been ongoing about Newcastle not winning a trophy? And he's gone up there and he's really turned a basket case of a club into a really well-oiled outfit.
He's had a change of ownership, which has helped him.
He has, but...
Not as much as it should have, but yeah.
Exactly. And the second thing is, it was even under the new ownership, they could have had Unai Emery. Unai Emery took one look at the whole recruitment process and said, no, that's not for me, thank you very much. And what Eddie's done is gone in there and stabilised that football club. So I think not a lot has been, or not enough is made of that contribution. But we all know football is a brutal, unforgiving business. There will be agents who will be putting their managers under the noses of the ownership and saying this one's a bit more glamorous, that one's a bit more glamorous. And actually, real strength, real courage is actually standing by him through a difficult moment rather than taking the garlands after what was a fantastic season last season.
I think it's a big few months for him. I do. I think it's a big few months for him because fans love him for what he's done, the way he conducts himself. The team generally has, especially at home, has been good. This bad spell they're on at the minute, and been a little while now, is worrying for them and him. He's got to. I mean, I'm talking about the creative element. They're conceding a lot of goals. I mean, they've lost Cher, injured. Livermento's brilliant, can't stay fit.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a thing not so long back on the numbers of Newcastle creatively and even defensively when Livermento and Hall, who's probably been their best player for the last month or two. What a player he is. Hall and Livermento playing together.
I remember seeing that.
The numbers.
When they go forward.
They're very rarely fit, yeah. They're very rarely fit together. You know, and you've Cher, who I think's a really good passer of the ball out from the back. They've missed him. Thiau's done all right. Botman's not the most athletic, and Dan Burn's been injured. He did his ribs, didn't he? I think it was his ribs up at Sunderland.
Yeah, he got done in a challenge, didn't he? Yeah.
So not everything's gone their way. And of course, the other thing as well, which it doesn't matter how you look at it, how big someone's squad is, they've not got the same quality as City and Arsenal, and they're trying to manage a Champions League campaign.
And the problem, there's another time bomb, I think. It's Tonali. The emergence of, I wouldn't even say it as a story. I'd regard them as smoke signals coming out.
The agent.
I don't want to ascribe it
the
to
Arsenal
anyone
link in
particular,
January, you're thinking
but it just came from the clouds, and that to me says that there would appear to be a will.
Well, he hasn't signed any deal either. I think he's got a year left after this one.
And that's, to me, is their big strength is that midfield three of Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali. I think they work together so well, but
they haven't had them three together as often as you think.
I was going to say,
because Willock's played, you've got Ramsey's played, Miley, who I like. By the Miley's terrific.
There is that stat that when Bruno doesn't play, they don't win. I think it's 9 games that Bruno hasn't played, and there are 9 games that they haven't won. And when you're a team that is aspiring to be among the big boys, you can't be that dependent on one individual player. You've got to have.
He's the inspiration. Tonali's the quality. Joe Linton's the physicality. It's like the perfect midfield trio. But you're right, they've not been fit together.
Well, we had a numbers guy on the show a couple of weeks ago who was looking at the PSR and stuff, and they've got money. They haven't spent all what they can, which is bizarre, really.
Yeah, and then
have they lost the desire?
And also they lost Elliot Anderson. They made the decision to
Minte.
There's some interesting decisions have been made at the football club. Quick one on Brentford, up to 7th. It's not been bad for that Arsenal away game, notwithstanding, which he can put right on Thursday and do us all a favour by beating Arsenal. Are you listening, Keith? And then they've got to Macclesfield in the FA Cup. And
the great thing about them, and the reason why that they've managed to, I think, do what they've done this season is that the ethos, the culture at the club has always been excellent. And they were able to build a siege mentality. They've got a guy in charge who's low maintenance, and yes, they lost quality, but they promoted quality. Thiago is just another one of a number of strikers that they've had at the football club who they've given their head to, and that player's gone on and absolutely ripped it up. Leadership in the shape of Jordan Henderson in midfield, quality at the back. Coyote for me has been terrific all season, and they've just got that leadership in the dugout as well. I think that they could push for a European place.
Well coached.
Yeah, there's a calmness about Keith.
But it's also he's good at he doesn't. When you watch Brentford, they don't care how they look from week to week.
No.
Some weeks they'll play more football than others, and some weeks they'll be really direct and good on set plays because he's sensible. He sees who they're up against. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? He's got a lot. He needs a lot of credit, or he deserves, a lot of credit for his role. Recruitment's great, yeah, you're right. Recruitment is spot on, but he deserves real credit, Keith Andrews.
Coming up, we'll talk about Brighton fans booing, Burnley fans booing as well. We'll look ahead to the midweek Premier League games that are all on the talkSPORT network.
and everything that we saw from Ruben Amorim, just to demonstrate the difference that Carrick has had. Like Manchester United have already surpassed the points tally from last season with 13 games to go.
Well, exactly. And winning that 4 on the bounce now. And I think we're fifth. The fifth game is actually going to be our hardest game, considering the form of West Ham. I think that will be our biggest test. And I know that we've played City, we've played Arsenal, but I think West Ham are going to be our biggest test.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I thought today's victory was, on some definition, actually the best victory. It was the best one. You know, it wasn't relying on emotion. It wasn't about the huge occasion. It wasn't relying upon like the huge noise and the desperation to win of a derby. This was a routine victory. It was another day, another win for Manchester United. And that is what Manchester United need to get back to. Just that standard procedure 2-0 home victory.
If Amorim was in charge today, we would have got beaten. Even with the red card. Even with Tottenham getting the red card, I think we still would have had a very hard game of it.
No, I completely agree. Not only that, if you'd have had Bruno Fernandes.
Martin Keown is looking at the positives for Arsenal despite Man City clawing back some momentum in the title race.
Man City may look at this and say, well, do you know what, that was a definitive moment for us where we turn things around. It keeps the Premier League alive for the neutral, but it was always alive, Jim. And actually, I think 6 points instead of 9 is healthier.
Well, the Gunners' Invincible says being 6 ahead means people will stop saying the title is Arsenal's to lose. Meanwhile, the PGMOL and former refs are all backing the decision to chalk off City's third goal at Anfield. But shock, Neil Warnock disagrees.
I remember Bill Shankly saying, they know the laws, but they don't know the game.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed in all them years. They know the rules, they know it inside out, they know what should be happening, they know this, but they haven't got any idea about common sense.
Now, with doubts over Christian Romero's captaincy credentials, Simon Jordan says his red card over the weekend makes the Spurs manager look weak.
If Thomas Frank were working for me, I would be asking him why he doesn't have control over his player. Why his player seems to believe on 2 or 3 occasions now he's able to say what he wants about what he wants when he wants.
Well, Frank admits his skipper needs to learn from his mistakes. Spurs host Newcastle live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow night. And Eddie Howe says he'd resign if he didn't feel he was the right man to turn around the Magpies' poor form in recent weeks. Howe's also told us his harshest critic is himself.
The pressure that individuals or other people can put on you, it's irrelevant, really. I have to live with my own thoughts of myself and what I'm delivering, and that's very honest to say that after the game that I need to do better, and I will do better. It's part of the evolution, it's part of growing.
Brendan McCullum's job will be safe if England make the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. That's according to former England coach David Lloyd. But they'll have to make some serious improvements to make the latter stages. And freestyle skier Kirsty Muir narrowly missed out on Team GB's first medal of the Winter Olympics, finishing 4th in the women's slopestyle. She scored 76.05 points with a brilliant third run, only 0.41 points off bronze.
It's kick-off on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian Durham. Danny Murphy, former England midfielder, and the brilliant writer, Darren Lewis, is with what? Are you not brilliant?
I know.
We've got loads still to talk about on the show, and we'll keep you updated with Sheffield United nil, Middlesbrough 2. It's live on talkSPORT 2 at the moment. Calvin Phillips on the bench for Sheffield United. See how his career goes from here, because it's dropped off a lot. In fact, it was interesting with Calvin Phillips. Manchester City's the manager, Pep Guardiola, said when he went out on loan to Sheffield United, he said, well, we hope he can go out and get game time because, he was basically saying we need him back. He was talking about all the injuries he'd had, knee, ankle, hamstring, shoulder. I think he mentioned all of those. But it was talking up his chances of coming back. And then I thought to myself, well, when Nico Gonzalez was injured and Rodri was injured, he was nowhere near the first team frame. So I think that those days may well be gone. But what a shame, because there was a small period of time where for England he was really unbelievable. Really good in that midfield. Let's talk about West Ham. He had a spell on loan there, didn't he? 3 points from safety. I was at Burnley at the weekend. And listen, we've talked about Somerville a lot. Let's talk about it from a Burnley point of view, because Turf Moor was toxic, really, after the first goal went in. I thought the Burnley fans got behind their team to start with. Then as soon as that first goal went in, they turned, they booed. And Scott Parker was asked who he thought the boos from the fans at full-time were directed towards.
Whether that was the players getting clearly told that they're not good to wear the shirt, or whether that was me that I'm getting sacked in the morning. That was at 1-0. I understand the frustration because obviously of where we are in the league, but I think I referenced it on Friday in my press conference. Before a ball was kicked this year, there was a challenge. There was no person, no fan, no player, me included, that didn't realise what the challenge was ahead of us. And that challenge at this present moment in time is here. And like always in these moments, it's easy to understand a challenge when it doesn't hit you in the face. It's easy to say the right things, behave the right way, do the right things when it isn't there. When the challenge hits you in the face and you're in the midst of it, that takes something special to actually get through it and face up to it. I feel my players are doing that, but no doubt that today, at times, that was testing for them. And that makes me sad. It does make me sad. I'm not always the first to be critical. It makes me sad because the world we live in currently, and certainly in this world of football at times, there's just a bit of an easy option, but that's the way it is.
What is he talking about? Honestly, I really want to like Scott Parker. I want him to do well, but sometimes I listen to his press conferences and interviews, and I honestly shake my head and think, I'm wondering what he's on about. His players must be wondering what on earth he's on about. In the build-up to this game, he actually said this: football is like any other business. You have to take your body to extreme places. Now, I'm sitting here doing a radio show. I can assure you my body is not in an extreme place.
Well, there was that stag night, wasn't there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we won't talk about that. It might make the book when I do that chapter. But I'm baffled by it because they're 16 without a win. Now, they haven't won a Premier League game since October the 26th. The performance at Sunderland was so bad, and I'm not just dropping the players in it here. I'm not just having a go at them. I was at Sunderland, and their set pieces were atrocious, on another level atrocious, and the coaching staff and the manager have to take responsibility for that, surely.
When you look at, and I watched their game at the weekend, and when you look at the way that Burnley play, you do have to wonder, what is their game plan? Because you are so far behind. You have no other alternative to have a go. You cannot defend. You gift opposition teams opportunities in every match you play. So there is no point playing a defensive game. You have to have a go. But at no stage did they lay a glove on West Ham. That's why the fans were chanting, sack the board. Yep. The fans were absolutely not having it. And there is this framing of, it's interesting because I sometimes see the way that Liam Rosenior's kind of framed as a bit of an oddball, when actually he's got very clear ideas about the way he wants to play, and he's inspired that team. And you can say he's got a long way to go, and I would accept that, but I think the early signs are encouraging.
Yeah.
And yet Parker's kind of framed as this deep thinker, but I remember when he was at Bournemouth and they got stuffed 9-0 by Liverpool, and he said, listen, this team can't stay up. This team's not good enough to stay up. And Gary O'Neill came along and kept them up.
They stayed up.
So I look at Burnley and I do wonder what they're doing. And, you know, when he was in the Championship, it was excellent. There were many nights, Monday nights, Danny and I, we were in here and I was like, they've got such a good defensive setup. But that was for the Championship. He's not had any answers for the Premier League.
And they spent 20 million on Amanda Breuer, which basically is, they might as well have given the money to charity. I mean,
might as well have given that money to a troll under a bridge.
It's pointless. And I, you don't mean any disrespect, but players have their level, and he's not a Premier League striker. There's no evidence of that, so I don't understand that. And you can look at the ball, because the spend at Burnley compared to Sunderland is far less, but they've spent what they had badly.
Still spent 130 mil, didn't they?
Is that amount?
I think so.
I'm just looking.
I think they spent 130. I just had a look.
20 million on him, 23 on Ugachukwu. Let's not go through the 130 million, but I'm looking at what they spent on.
The argument is never. I think when you come up, you can't ever categorically say that you're going to stay up or you think you've got a good chance, because the Premier League's ruthless.
Fair.
So, if you're going to go down, the plan has got to be to go down with a fight. A bit like Luton. They had their days where you think, oh, you know what? They're ruffling a few feathers here, and they're giving it a go. And Burnley did at the start of the season. They were tough to break down, and they were in games a lot. And,
well, there was the 1-0 against at home to Liverpool, where Liverpool had an injury time penalty.
Yeah, things like that. But
they didn't have a shot on target in that game.
I think for me, where I get a little bit, I can only think how I'd be, and I've not been a manager, so it's a hard one. But I think when you struggle and when things aren't going well, and you look at the simplistic stuff of numbers and data, which is all there, the teams are big in the Prem. Right, you know what? Let's change it up. If we're going to lose, let's lose 5-3. Let's just go and shock a few teams. Let's just go and do something different for a bit. Actually, my experience, although I had an initial falling out with Curbs at the end of my time at Charlton, he was good at that. Curbs was really good at mixing it up. Like, we're going to do this today. You might be more pragmatic and, not play out from the back at all and rely on some set plays or breakaways or whatever. And then other times we'd really go after, like even a big, or match up a team system wise. You never quite knew what Curbs was going to do. And I quite liked that. It was like we were always, and then you'd nick a result somewhere or get a result you didn't expect to. And I was like, oh, he was right.
Yeah.
You're thinking, we're going to do what? We're going to go toe for toe with Chelsea. It's like, what are you talking about? But to just stay the same and go out with a whimper, that's the bit I don't get.
I think the other thing as well, he's basically had a go at the fans. He said in that piece there, the team is fragile. It's a difficult moment. He said the edgy atmosphere affected the players. I think it's a pathetic excuse. Surely that
it's not an excuse. It's probably a fact rather than an excuse. But then you have to ask yourself, well, I'm picking a team, and I've got a squad of players, and I should be able to produce 11 that are comfortable and confident enough to play under the pressure.
I mean, what does he expect from the Burnley fans?
And this is the thing, and it always frustrates me, because the fans, if you like, are shareholders. They have a financial investment in that team, right? They've got an emotional investment in the team as well.
Absolutely correct, yeah.
And there is a predictability about the way that they play right now, as you said.
That's the word.
Well, we've both said. I mean, I think when you watch Burnley, you know what you are going to get. A lack of fight, an attempt to defend. That attempt will fail. Somebody will lose concentration. They'll fall behind, and round we go.
And they don't score.
And they don't score.
You have summed up Burnley in a sentence. So it's just genius. The other thing about Burnley I want to say is this, and I was actually quite sad watching them at the weekend. If you watch that first goal again, it's brilliant from Fernandes and Somerville, fantastic. But I'm watching Kyle Walker try to catch Somerville for that first goal. It's one of the saddest football moments of the season, because this has been a brilliant footballer who's won everything. He's been magical for Man City. He got them out of trouble so many times with his pace. He's been superb for England, one of the best right-backs we've ever had. And he's seeing out his career. And he can't keep up. Literally can't keep up. And I actually felt really sad watching it. I don't know what he's meant to do, but whether he should just, quit while he's on a high, or just see out the season. No, I mean, should he have quit while he was on a high, rather than go to a side that's going to get relegated? I don't know, but
I think you can get frustrated when you've been at one level and you drop to another, and you get dragged down. It's difficult on that. But yeah, we'll see what he does at the end of the season.
Yeah, tough. I expected more, but then it catches up with you. He's had a lot of years at the top, Kyle Walker, and I don't want that to be forgotten.
It'd be interesting to know, just changing the subject, on Scotty Parker's influence of transfers, how that works at Burnley. I don't know. I'm putting it out there because I don't know.
But then if he walked out on Bournemouth saying the squad wasn't good enough, if he didn't have any influence on the transfers, surely he would have done the same at Burnley. We all clocked early on, hang on a minute, that squad, that's not going to be good enough. There's no goals in that squad for a start. So why didn't he walk out early season? Is it because he had an influence on transfers and he was backing the players that he...
Maybe.
I don't know. You're right, we don't know, but it's they're going down. I think we're safe to say.
I talked about the lack of dynamism from Michael Carrick and the way that he exudes calm and wants the players to take responsibility. But I look at Parker, when they fall behind, I don't see the dynamism, but I don't see the players taking responsibility either. I don't see leadership. In defence, I don't see leadership. In attack, I don't see creativity and the sort of will to drive players on and find a way to get through a Premier League defence. And it does look, like you said, as though the white flag has gone up.
He's giving Churchillian speeches when it's all over, to be honest with you. Let's kick off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org, Palace and Brighton. We'll talk about those next.
Legendary retired referee Dermot Gallagher joins us here on the show. How are we, Dermot?
Hi, Majestic. Hi, Al.
Hi, Dermot.
Listen, let's just get your thoughts off that straight off the bat. We don't want to ask you no questions. You're the ref. Tell us what you saw.
I have to say, I get what Alan says, and I think lots and lots of people will say, give the goal. It keeps 11 against 11. It keeps everybody happy. But when you look at it, there's no doubt whatsoever Szoboszlai is fouled, and by Haaland fouling him, he will argue that stopped him clearing the ball off the line. But you go back, the only reason Szoboszlai gets that far back is because he actually hauls Haaland back. That's the first foul. So I don't think I think Craig has tried to play advantage because he thinks it'll be a goal.
Definitely, Dermot. He's played advantage, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played advantage, and bear in mind, Al, that he can always bring that back if it goes wrong. So
but if you go to the second part, right, where Haaland fouls him, right, but the ball's got in the net. So why didn't he play advantage there as well?
Well, he can't play an advantage for foul on Szoboszlai, can he? Because if the ball's in the net, the game, it's terminated, isn't it?
Kick off on talkSPORT. Still 2-0 to Borough live on talkSPORT 2. They're going top of the Championship. Palace had a good win at Brighton at the weekend, and they needed it as well. They needed a clean sheet. They got that. They needed a win. They got that. And of all places to do it, it was their rivals, Brighton and Hove Albion. And I want to talk about Brighton. Big win for Palace. First since the 7th of December. Fair play. No wins in 5 for Brighton. In fact, for Brighton, it's 1 win since the end of November, which I think might surprise a lot of people. Fans were booing. I was there the previous week against Everton. The fans were not happy then either. There was accusations at Hertzler for something he didn't do this week, which was he's bringing on Milner with a couple of minutes left. Why is he doing that? And both times it had happened, they conceded late goals. Questions were being asked by the fans. Now, the CEO, Paul Barber, said in the programme yesterday about how there are 19 other clubs in the Premier League and it's not easy. Okay, well, we all know that, mate. He also mentioned heightened expectations. What he failed to mention was the expectations were set by Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton, at the start of the season. The owner did an interview, Tony Bloom, and he said their expectation was to qualify for Europe via a league placing. Now, I thought this was odd because he didn't dismiss the cups. He didn't say we don't want to win the cups or anything ridiculous like that. But he did point out that latter stages of cup competitions are hard because you usually face the best teams, some of the best teams in the world, best teams in Europe. Absolutely true. But this was a couple of months after Palace had won the cup. So I was a little bit surprised he went down that road. But his clear target, and he stated it very clearly, qualify for Europe via a league placing. Now, mathematically, they could still do it. There's no signs that Brighton are going to do it. There's probably more signs that they're going to be going down rather than staying up and getting into Europe. For me, they need a reset. I don't see anything in this manager that tells me that he's going to be a success at Brighton. He's going to please the fans at Brighton. Their season is becoming a James Milner testimonial season. And the fans must be fuming at that because they're paying money to see a competitive team and they're not getting it. Are they in a relegation battle? Well, 1 win in 12. That was at home to Burnley, so it doesn't count. They're only on 31 points. Still got to go to Spurs and Leeds. Next home game is the 1st of March against Forest. Absolutely gigantic for Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club. But when was the last time either of you were entertained watching Brighton? And under De Zerbi and previous managers, this is what they were entertaining to watch. They were good to watch. In, say, one game every 3 or 4, you were guaranteed they might even have been first on Match of the Day. But when was the last time Brighton were good to watch? When you've got Brighton fans booing, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, they've. I mean, one narrative is that over a few years now they keep selling their best players and replacing them. The argument would be that they've not replaced them with better or even equal, which should be fair. Caicedo, Cucurella, going down, keep going. But the other narrative to that, or the other side of that story, would be that I think in the last 2 summers they've spent nigh on 300 million quid. So you don't expect to be sitting where you are in the league. Okay, the net spend this summer was different because, again, selling players. But the quality of players they've got, you'd expect them to be doing better. I've watched Brighton a lot, and although they do play some good stuff at times, and they've got some dynamic wingers and players who can get you off the edge of your seat, they lack, defensively, they lack pace and athleticism. They're still playing. I mean, Van Heck, who I wouldn't say he's slow, but he's not the quickest. He's a big lad. He got dropped actually the weekend, I think.
I think he had a knock, but
oh, okay. So Van Heck and Dunk, 2 centre halves. Now, if you want to play those two and still be a forward-thinking team, you're going to be vulnerable at the back. I don't think when you think of watching De Zerbi's Brighton and the way they were doing this, the type of football they played. And I was very fortunate, actually. I actually went to watch a training session, see him work.
Yeah.
And it was pretty damn intense stuff. Really good. It was really good. It was really enjoyable. And the patterns he was getting them to play and the bravery, and it was really intense session. And I thought, it's demanding that. And you could see it in their games. It was like they were dynamic. They were a good side, caused teams problems. They've got worse. They're nowhere near as good as the De Zerbi Brighton. Now, some of that has to be responsibility of the manager. See, I always think, and this is going to be a bit out there, but although it shouldn't be a factor, when you bring in someone so young to a group of Premier League players, that's hard. I don't care how good he is or how good a communicator he is or what he does on the coaching pitch. There's always the ego, and I'd be one of them, by the way, of Premier League players who think, come on, who are you to tell me?
Is that real?
Can I challenge that, though? Can I challenge that?
You can.
Just slightly, in so much as Eddie Howe was young when he went into Bournemouth. And
but they were in the lower league.
I was going to say, they weren't Premier League.
But even so,
he was
still... Well, yeah, but you still in fact, in the lower leagues, you're probably more chippy than you are in the Premier League.
No, because you want to get on in life. You want to get up to the top. It's only when you've made it that you start thinking your opinion's valuable.
You got to think that, remember, these Brighton players have just been in Europe.
Yeah, these aren't young lads, are they?
I think the problem with Brighton is that there is no pressure. And
hang on, their owner said he wants them to qualify.
I know what you mean.
But there isn't pressure. You can go 2 months Look, if you think about it, we've done Brighton.
The fans are booing.
Think about it.
There's pressure.
We've done this subject in the third hour of the show.
Yeah.
Right? There isn't the pressure. They are not headline news.
That's the producer's fault. Okay, dropping him in it here. He's an Arsenal fan.
It's a great point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I had it at Fulham. You could have a bad spell. You know, Fulham, Brighton, Brentford, that type of team. The difference is with Brighton now is that because they've had the level of success for a period of years where everything's gone well and they're producing all these players and the football's good and they're edging towards Europe, they've been in Europe, the expectations grown. So now the fans are going, hold on, we'd like 2 months. You say 2 months, more, 3 months, 2 months since a win.
And one win.
One win, sorry, yeah. I mean...
But also Palace winning the FA Cup is, whether they like it or not, it's increased the pressure.
The simple question I always think, irrelevant of expectation, is the group of players you're looking at in that squad capable of more? And I would say definitely yes. Now, if they're not, why? And normally it always boils down to the one fella who's on the touchline, doesn't it?
And he makes changes regularly, doesn't he? And,
too many.
Yeah.
But see, I just think they are a club that has a very obvious stated aim, which is to recruit well, sell big, recruit cheaply, buy big, give players their heads, give them a couple of seasons in the Premier League, and invariably Chelsea will come along and buy their best one. Yeah, but other clubs will as well. And I just think that eventually that comes back to bite you because you don't have the solidity, you don't have the defensive foundation which you need to stay in the toughest league in the world. And right now, I look at that Brighton side, and they've got good individual talents, but are they a team? You look at the Nottingham Forest back line, regardless of their form at the moment, that is a good back line. Yeah, it's a decent back line.
Well, listen, I'm not Duncan Van Heck are good players. I'm not saying they're not good players. I'm saying if you want the system he's playing, because he's still trying to be adventurous and attacking and play this good football, but you leave yourself more open. He doesn't play like a pragmatic...
But Van Heck has a mistake in him and Dunk's not quick enough, yeah? And that's straight away, you look at that Brighton side and you see a soft centre.
He changes the fullbacks every most weeks, isn't it?
And that's the other problem. Because if you do that, how do you get any consistency?
There's another thing to throw in the mix, and that is January. We just wrote this story today on talkSPORT. Lewis Dunk, he rejected a move to Forest. Brighton accepted the offer from Forest. Now, it's been framed out of respect to their captain. He's been there so long, been such a good servant, leader for them. They presented the offer to him and he said no. Maybe Brighton, and that might be true, and Brighton might have known he was going to say no, but the respectful thing was, here's an offer, you know.
Well, didn't he play, you'll know this better than me, Aid, with your knowledge of all the players, man, I should remember.
No pressure.
But the two centre-halves who played instead of Duncan Van Heck, was it United game in the Cup?
Oh, that's a good question.
They were terrific.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself...
was one of them.
Yeah. And I can't think who the other one was. Yeah. So I was watching them going, where have these two been?
And that's the point. It speaks to the changes that are made way too often. I slightly disagree on the age thing because I just think if he's good enough when they were winning, then he's good enough to be there now. I just think the ethos around the club is that they are a club that gives you an opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think when it's going badly, the age can become more of a...
Yes, yeah.
You know, if you've got Pep, Pep's a bad example, but, you know, Arne Slot, who's managed for quite a while, had some success in Holland, then he's won the league here with Liverpool. You know, he's talking to although I'm using him as a quick example.
Yeah, sure.
What is he? Mid-40s, is he?
Arne Slot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's more of a senior figure. And when you're a footballer, a young footballer, or a footballer in the Prem, and you've got someone on a similar age, when the things aren't going well, or you're not in the team, or you don't quite agree with him, that becomes an issue. So hold on.
Yeah.
You know, you're not looking up to someone in the same way. I know it sounds a bit simplistic, but it is the way it is. It's just you start questions like, and it can work both ways. The youth thing can be a good thing because you're on the same page with them and understand what they need, maybe in terms of off the field stuff, or you know, if Liam Rosenior's gone into Chelsea, some of those young lads there, he'll understand. I mean, he's not young actually, Liam. It's probably a bad comparison because he's probably 40 plus as well, isn't he? Just looks young because he's lucky.
Like yourself, yeah.
He's got a good skin routine. Yeah. But yeah, it can help. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I think when you're losing games and it's going wrong, and some players aren't happy at not playing and all that, as a young manager, it's a difficult one.
Brighton is a club. There have been one or two good managers that have come out of there, but they can make a manager who isn't elite, he can be framed as being elite because they do such good business, produce such good players. But, you know, Graham Potter was kind of framed as the future of management, and he struggled at Chelsea. He struggled utterly at West Ham. He's got the Sweden job, and if anyone's got the number for his agent, I'd love it. Because
but you know, you said before exactly right what you said about the no pressure thing for the players.
Yes, that is it.
Same with the managers.
Yeah, absolutely right.
But now the pressure is on.
Right.
Yeah,
because we've done quite a few games. I've been quite a few games with Brighton, and I've never heard them boo.
Yeah.
Was it booing at the end?
Yeah, they were booing. Yeah, when I was at the Everton game, they were booing at the end as well.
Because we did. Was you at the Bournemouth game? We did as well. They were half.
Yes,
they were leaving a lot early there as well. They did get a late equaliser, to be fair.
They did, yeah. For the record, Hurtzler's 32, Liam Rossini's 41, Arne Slot's 47. Just for the record. Latest episode of How to Win the World Cup's now live. Matt Ford, Alex Brooker, joined by talkSPORT legend, England legend Stuart Pearce to talk about what makes a perfect leader in football. Here's Stuart on where his infamous nickname Psycho originated from and why the real Stuart Pearce is very different.
Listen, I come from non-league. You know, I had 250 games non-league, and I was never in any way, shape or form considered a robust player. Wingers used to knock the hell out of me as a young kid, and I used to get looked after by senior pros and all that game that had been around the block. So I had to you learn the hard way, you know. So all of a sudden you come into the pro game and all of a sudden people think you're some sort of tough player. So you think, well, look, you know, if the ball's up in the air and the winger's about to jump and you just shout, Pierce, you know, and all of a sudden the little turtleneck comes in like that and they keep that. And if it plays to it and makes my job easier, all well and good.
Stuart Pearce, what a legend. And that's him on How to Win the World Cup, available from where you get your podcasts and available now. And he's with us at West Ham Man United, live and exclusive on talkSPORT tomorrow. All the midweek fixtures are live and exclusive on the talkSPORT network. You'll need the talkSPORT app, so get that on your phone. Sheffield United have pulled one back. Big ping out wide. Brilliant pass from Calvin Phillips. Ball played in the middle. Patrick Bamford slots home 2-1 to Middlesbrough, who are going top of the Championship. The rest of that game is live on talkSPORT 2.
On BBC, you've got, I think it was Ellen White, Steph Horton, Nedum Onuora. No offence to Nedum Onuora, nothing against him. I don't know whether he played for England or not. But you're on the main panel for the final for England women. Let's go over to ITV. I'm in the stands with 105 caps. So you've got two women. Between us, we've got 290 caps, something ridiculous, right? You turn over to ITV, and it's Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and Kaz Carney. So out of 6 spots on 2 of the main, you can't watch the game anywhere else. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men, yeah? Meanwhile, you've got 290, whatever it is, I got sitting in the stands.
Why are there 4 other women being in these positions? And as far as she's concerned, she's not one of them. I would suggest that she's not a very good broadcaster. That might be one of the reasons why. And if you want to learn, I mean, I don't dislike her. I think she's quite an intelligent lady. I mean, she's qualified in law. She's nobody's fool. But some of the things that come out of her...
Kick-off on talkSPORT. We'll be back with Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis very shortly, but Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2 is live on talkSPORT 2. Let's have a listen. Here's your commentary team, the former Leeds manager Neil Redfern alongside Mark Wilson.
I've been mightily impressed. We are live over on talkSPORT. Welcome along to listeners on talkSPORT. What a game we've got here on talkSPORT 2. Middlesbrough were cruising at 2-0 up. Tommy Conway with a beautiful finish inside 90 minutes. And when Riley McGree headed in after the shot from Hackney at the post right at the end of the first half, Borough at 2-0 were cruising. But Sheffield United through Patrick Bamford his 7th league goal of the season with 17 remaining. And all of a sudden, Neil Redfern, at Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2, Sheffield United are on the charge and Borough are hanging on.
Yeah, they are hanging on. I just feel they took the foot off the pedal a little bit, Borough. That's been hypercritical, to be honest with you. They've been fantastic tonight, but to be fair, Sheffield United and Chris Wilder has rolled the dice. Subs have made a big difference. Campbell up alongside Bamford. Allowed Bamford the freedom to get himself in front of goal and get one back.
Yeah, we've got around about 15 minutes left here. A reminder, if Middlesbrough do hang on and win, they go top of the table as Bamford was almost in on goal. We play to a finish live on talkSPORT 2. Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2.
And if you do want to listen to that on talkSPORT 2, tell your smart speaker to play talkSPORT 2 or get that app on your phone. The talkSPORT app, you can listen to us here on talkSPORT. You can listen to talkSPORT 2. You can listen to Talk Radio, Times Radio, all the Virgin music stations as well. Virgin 80s on constantly in my car. Absolutely love it. I'm stuck in the 80s musically.
I love the 80s, mate.
Who doesn't? It's just the best.
I was listening to a song last night that brought back some memories. I think it's the 80s. Gregory Abbott.
Oh, yeah. What was that called?
Shake You Down.
Ah, yeah. Great stuff. I was watching the Stock Aitken and Waterman thing at the weekend. They had a review of all the songs, and even though you hear those names and you think, oh, it's a bit cheesy, actually some of them were great songs.
Who would win between the two of you in an 80s beat the intro?
I think I'd win. He's more football.
Yeah, seriously, probably true. No, I'd be good at the intro stuff. I'd be rubbish at who sang it.
Right.
I think you'd absolutely walk all over me with that.
Artist and song.
But then the song I'd get pretty quick, I think.
Because
I grew up on, like, my mum loved music as well, my dad. So I was always listening to it without, wanting to. It was just part. It was just there.
But you see, that's how it works. So I was always playing the Smiths in the car with the kids, and now they love the Smiths.
Yeah.
So, and I feel for them. Really.
That's funny because my oldest boy is 29, and he loves Craig David.
Oh right.
And that's because when he was a little nipper, I used to have him on in the car. When he first come on the scene, and that's how long he's been going, by the way. Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Well, you are.
One week in the breaks when we come out.
7 days, 1 week. Sorry.
Hey.
We should have a little look, beat the intro sort of thing.
This is on a Monday night. If Kanye up for that, he's going to do that. Yeah. You remember the 80s? No, he wasn't. Let's talk about Everton, who won at Fulham on Saturday afternoon. Listen, are they 2 points behind Liverpool? You're a bit nervous there, Dan. Both of you.
Passed it.
After the game, Everton midfielder James Garner spoke to Ian Abrahams, who asked him if he still has ambitions of making the England squad for the World Cup this summer.
I'm hoping so. That's the dream, isn't it? That's every little boy's dream. And I feel like I'm closer than ever than getting a call up. Probably the best form that I've been in my career so far. So if you would have asked me last year, I would have said I'm nowhere near it. I'm very real. But if you're asking me now, I think I'm closer than I've ever personally been. So I just need to keep up the performances and keep on winning on the weekends.
Just one last one. Does it help your cause? Not only, obviously being in good form helps your cause, but the fact that you can play different positions. You're a flexible friend.
Yeah. I think so. It just depends on obviously what they think. It could become it could be a blessing, it could be a curse. So, but for me, I like to look at it as a positive way, and I'm thinking it's a positive thing that I can play in multiple positions and play in any position and play well.
Interesting from, they call him Jimmy Garner at Everton, and we had David Moyes. I was doing the breakfast show a couple of months ago, and David Moyes was a guest on that breakfast show, and we asked him about James Garner's, the possibility of him playing for England. And this was at a time when Alex Scott had just been called, the Bournemouth midfielder, into the England squad. And David Moyes kind of said without saying, well, if Alex Scott can get picked, James Garner should be picked. That versatility thing, though, Danny, where he's been so good at fullback for them, he's played both fullback positions and can play in midfield as well. And he is having a good season. There's no doubt about it. Has he got a remote chance of making the England World Cup squad?
He has, if there's an injury or two. I mean, I like him because he's a clever footballer. Doesn't rely on his. I mean, he gets about the pitch, but he's not relying on that because he's bright, sees the pictures early, can score a goal, great delivery on set plays, and he's been a shining light for Everton. And yeah, he can. You can put him. I don't think, especially with his United education, most young lads educated at United, being around a club that size, they're not fazed by much. I don't think it would faze him putting an England shirt on. And with all due respect to Alex Scott, who actually played well at the weekend, had a really good game. Playing for Everton is more pressure than playing for Bournemouth. You know, it's to perform at Everton. It's more demanding playing at Everton than it is at Bournemouth. So I think Moisey alluding to that's probably fair. And I know Tuchel's watched him a couple of times. I saw him at a couple of Everton games. So maybe, I think there'd have to be an injury or two.
Yeah.
But he's done really well. Everton actually, I mean, what Moisey's done since he's been there is fantastic. And, you know, he's so reliable and so wise now. You know that they're going to dig out results even when they're not playing well at times. But he will be a little bit concerned. Their recent first half performances have been woeful. Leeds, Brighton.
Yeah,
and Fulham.
That's true, yeah.
Now, Fulham should have been done by half-time. I mean, Jimenez, although he does so much good, he's finishing at the moment. He is missing some big chances. And Fulham fans still love him because he doesn't stop working. His link-up's good. He plays the role well, but he's struggling in front of goal.
But it should have been 3 or 4, shouldn't it?
At least 3. I mean, it would work, I think, twice. He missed a sitter, missed another sitter in the second half. But what Moisey has done well on all those games, he's got a reaction out of them half-time. And then they play with a bit more courage. You know, they're pressing higher, they're getting more men in the box, they're playing forward more, risking the ball more. And all of a sudden, looking half-decent side. Second half, they were good at Fulham.
There's only Arsenal have won more away games than Everton, so that's an impressive stat in itself. But the fact that they're 2 points behind Liverpool on James Garner, though, Darren, that issue of him playing different positions and whether that helps him or hinders his England chances is an interesting question, isn't it? Because he's played different positions and done well in them. Has he excelled enough in them?
Well, it's 9:43. Here's your first interesting question.
I blame you for that. He's on fire, isn't he?
I think straight away I think of a Phil Jones, good in lots of different players, but not actually mastering one single player. And I think even he would admit that when he was at Blackburn, he looked like he was going to be a superb player in one position, and all the reasons why you think James Garner should be in the mix. People said those things about Phil, but he never really did nail down one specific player position, did he? I think the interesting thing about the World Cup is that versatility would be an asset, because if you are picking a squad, you want to cover as many bases as possible. And the great thing in his favour is that Tuchel thinks outside the box. I remember we rowed about the inclusion of Jordan Henderson in the squad, you know, because I felt that Tuchel brought fresh eyes to it and he could see his leadership qualities, and there was this general view that he was going to be in, but he wouldn't go to a World Cup. And now it looks very much as though he's going to go to the World Cup. And the one thing, one of the many things in the favour of some of the managers who are non-English who take the job, and I'm very much a believer that the England manager should be English. I think all national teams' head coach should be from that team.
Yeah.
But that's the competition. Yeah. It's your best against their best, full stop. But I think the wonderful thing about when we have had, say, a Sven straight away put Wayne Bridge in the team, and everyone went, oh, where did that come from? You know, and you know, a Tuchel has done things that people have not expected him to do. So
Morgan Rogers was a great example of that. Yeah, exactly.
And I would not sit here right now. I couldn't sit here with saying any certainty that James Garner's not going. Now, as brilliant as Gareth Southgate was, I think I could sit here with certainty and say he's not going to be part of that squad.
Bearing in mind, we've got one camp with a couple of friendlies before the World Cup squad's announced. Yeah. And I think you're right. But actually, I really love that flexibility and openness of Thomas Tuchel. And the fact that we're talking about is Foden going, is Cole Palmer going, I actually think is a positive thing, because, you know, I do think Both of them have got work to do. You can't tell me Cole Palmer scoring a hat-trick, including 2 penalties, at Wolves, is a sign, as Tony Cascarino said on the Weekend Sports Breakfast yesterday, that he's definitely on the plane. Come on. I mean, we've got to have better hindsight.
No, I think what you're saying spot on. Tuchel is there to please nobody. He will pick who's playing well and who's fit. And there won't be any passengers. He won't take a gamble. And he won't care if it upsets one or two. It's just the way he is. You can see it. He's not that guy. And maybe we need that.
I think as well he's, if people do criticise, say with Jordan Henderson, if he takes him and he gets criticism for it, he doesn't care. He really doesn't care. It's not going to affect him in any way.
Well, he's leaving after anyway, even if he falls flat on his foot.
Yeah.
On his bum.
If he does care, all he has to do is look at the bank balance because, the FA are giving him a drink.
That's cynical.
Cynic. That's just.
I mean, come on.
Come on, listen, let's not kid ourselves. He's an elite manager and the FA were desperate to get in the best in class. And when they appointed him, that was their defence. He is the best in class. And for all the people who said, hang on a minute, this isn't club football, we should be going for...
Which is fair enough, but you're saying Tuchel's taking the job for money.
Well, what? Do you think he's not expecting to get paid for what he does?
He'll get weighed in. I mean, this is the thing with management, though, isn't it? You get paid for failure.
Yeah, but listen...
he's going to get paid either way.
He's not...
No, I'm saying he could, theoretically.
Yes. I mean, how Chelsea would love to have the guy whose last act for them was to win the Champions League back at that football club right now. How Manchester United would have loved to have had him before Michael Carrick stepped into the breach and even before Ruben Amorim stepped into the breach. We're very lucky to have him, but I just think the competition, every competition, whether you're the manager of the Ivory Coast, the USA, Finland, Russia, England, the national team coach should be from that country.
I agree.
Interesting. You're listening to Kick-Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes 18+, gambleaware.org.
There's so many twists and turns in this. When you've been on this road, right? Now, look, there are certain people who were at that game yesterday, former Manchester United players who won this thing many, many times. I've won it as well. And you have to shut out the noise. It's about what you do, not what the opposition do. And, of course, it would have been handy if it had gone 9 points clear. But the fact that it didn't happen, Arsenal are not derailed by that. I actually saw a lot from Arsenal at the weekend that makes me think, actually, do you know what? They could go the distance. But this is the life. When you're trying to lead, when you're trying to be a prospective champion, Jim, there are twists and turns. You stay calm and you stay confident and you go to the next game. Arsenal play Brentford now. Now, for those people, the neutrals that were, by the way, Sunderland gave everything at the weekend. So nobody was like, it wasn't an easy gimme for Arsenal. Brentford now is another very difficult game for Arsenal.
Of course,
as it would have been if they would have been 9 points clear.
They're all difficult games. We know that. Psychologically, might this be bigger for Manchester City, though, Simon, than it is for Arsenal?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Arsenal.
Don't miss the Zone's packed fight schedule with fights every week, including a huge triple header next weekend. It all begins live from Sheffield Saturday. Fierce rivalry reignites in a highly anticipated rematch. Lee Wood against Leeds' finest Josh Warrington. Then later that night, live from Las Vegas, a high-stakes clash as Ryan Garcia chases his first world title against Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight world title. And finally, the return of Clarissa Shields as she faces Franchon Cruz DAZN in an undisputed heavyweight rematch next Sunday. Sign up to DAZN Ultimate and get 12+ pay-per-views a year, including Garcia versus Barrios on February the 21st. No extra cost. Watch all these fights only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
We're in injury time at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2. 5 minutes added on. That's live on talkSPORT 2 right now. Let's talk about the midweek Premier League football. Danny Murphy, I'm at Liverpool away to Sunderland on Wednesday night. Sunderland's home record, very, very good. Are you actually concerned that Everton might finish above Liverpool?
No. But that doesn't matter if Liverpool don't finish in a European Champions League place. It's still a failure. So it doesn't matter who finishes above them or not. It's like they've got to get in that top 4, top 5. This is a massive game for Liverpool after that defeat. They're now, what was it, 4 or 5 points behind Chelsea and Man United, 3 or 4?
5 behind Chelsea.
They can't lose again.
Sorry, 5 behind Man United, 4 behind Chelsea.
They play a very deliberate style of football. Would you like, we were talking about mixing it up and variation earlier in the show, would you like to see more of an all-action intensity about Liverpool?
I'd like to see them do what they did second half. Move the ball quick, get after people, really play with a high energy and take some, well, not just take risks, but do it collectively. That was a really dominant, strong performance. Everyone was at it. Everyone was contributing.
There was a moment when Kirkes surged past his man on the left, and I thought, oh, he's arrived. I thought, yeah,
but they look better physically. And I don't know why they did. Well, we talked about why they did that the first half, and you were spot on with that. But if they weren't to win there, you're starting to think it's looking unlikely they're going to get that top 4 spot. I think they will go there and win. I think they'll take a lot from that second half. And the other thing is, in football, with top players, normally you get reaction after a disappointing home defeat. Don't lose many at Anfield. I know they've lost more than normal, but generally not. To lose in that manner after doing what they did second half, dominating the game, there's got to be some fire in the belly of those players. And I think we might just see Sunderland's record go. And this will be played out next week when they've lost.
Darren, I'll come to you on Liverpool in a second. I need to ask you very quickly, Danny, about Man City. You're at home to Fulham on Wednesday. Arsenal away to Brentford. So just say Man City beat Fulham, the gap is 3 points. Does that put pressure on Arsenal? And I mean, Brentford at home are a tough proposition, as we said earlier.
They are.
This could be a pivotal week.
They are, but one of Brentford's strengths and qualities is pace and power. Balling behind, getting runners. Thiago, Schade, whoever's fit, Guattara. They've got great legs and power. That doesn't fit. Arsenal don't struggle with that. They don't struggle with that. Arsenal are big, strong, quick. They'll embrace it. I think Arsenal beat them. I don't see that as Arsenal having a big challenge.
But Man City are going to be your old mob.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, thanks very much. Darren Lewis, let me talk to you about Liverpool. Are you concerned about Liverpool finishing behind Everton?
No. And Danny and I.
Of Liverpool fans. Just honestly.
Well, no, only because I just think Danny and I were talking before the show about the issues that Liverpool had at the start of the season. And I saw the very emotionally intelligent Quiver Kelleher saying, "Listen, everyone gets hysterical about Liverpool, but given what they've been through, I'm amazed they're even getting through the season." And
talking about Diogo Jota,
exactly. And I'm very much, I know other people don't feel that way, and that's everyone's entitled to feel how they would like, but I think that right now Liverpool as a football club, very sadly, has a history of having to look after its own. And I think that what Liverpool are doing in this moment is looking after its own. And yes, from the outside, there'll be all the noise, but from the inside, there will be that protection. I don't buy into this idea that Slot could go if they don't finish in the top 4 or 5. And I think they aren't that worried. We are, because it's our job to be, you know, but I don't think they are at all.
Right, let me tell you what's coming up this week. The Premier League games are all live and exclusive on the talkSPORT network. You're going to need the app, the talkSPORT app. Get that on your phone or your tablet or whatever. So tomorrow night, Chelsea Leeds is on Talk Radio. You can get that through the app. Everton, Bournemouth is on the talkSPORT app. Tottenham, Newcastle on talkSPORT 2. I'll be at West Ham, Man United. That's live on talkSPORT. Wednesday night, Man City, Fulham on Talk Radio. Villa, Brighton's on the talkSPORT app. So is Palace, Burnley. Forest, Wolves on talkSPORT 2. Sunderland, Liverpool live and exclusive on talkSPORT. And then Thursday, Brentford, Arsenal live and exclusive on talkSPORT. Middlesbrough have won 2-1 at Sheffield United. That is now finished. They are top of the Championship. They've overtaken Coventry. And I must tell you that next Monday night is going to be a very special listen. It's FA Cup weekend, of course, but next Monday night it's Macclesfield of National League North taking on Premier League Brentford's. And Natalie Sawyer is the host at Macclesfield for that. She is a Brentford fan. Okay, honestly, she was brilliant in the last round when they beat Palace. She was doing the interviews, she was doing the whole lot, and she was fantastic. And she is going to be so good on that. If Brentford lose that, if Macclesfield do it again, I mean, that is unmissable. Because she will be quite upset. But at the same time, I think she'll be overjoyed for the non-league side.
So, absolutely.
Yeah. Darren, Danny, I've enjoyed it very, very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us as well. The Sports Bar is next. If you want to have your say, 03717 22 3344.
If we look at the bottom of the table, we're looking at one spot. Do you believe that everybody up to and including Tottenham are in it?
Oh, without doubt. Absolutely. I would even take a step further and say Brighton and Palace will be all right, but I think they need a couple of victories, and the sooner they get them, the better. I thought that was a big result for Palace.
Yeah, Darren, who's a Palace fan, has texted this, and morning, gents. As a Palace fan, I got to say, I really don't think we're in this anymore. Sar's come back from the Cup of Nations. Muniz has come back from injury.
Yes.
We signed a couple of quality players. Darren, I agree with you. I think Palace are safe-ish now.
Aye, that's where I am. Exactly, and that's the word I would use for those two, Brighton and Palace. As I say, brilliant result for Palace at the weekend. Really important 3 points. Tottenham,
I mean, you would say Tottenham 6 points clear of West Ham on the face of it.
Football fans all have stadiums we love, but do any of us have a pitch that we love? It might sound like an odd question.